The prestigious Magic Academy gates crash open. Admission day arrives, and the ultimate trial begins. Enter Lucio Jun, the legendary disciple of the Magic Association president. A singular, devastating blade swing, and every dummy shatters into absolute oblivion. A flawless, terrifying strike. And the craziest part? He is merely a student. Next up, the Ice Queen steps forward. One chilling incantation freezes the entire battlefield into shattered glass. Whispers call her the second-year goddess. However, the crowd erupts when Yu-Ara unleashes a blazing storm of explosive fire magic. Terrifying beauty is matched only by her ferocious flames, incinerating absolutely everything. The audience is completely spellbound. Had Lucio Jun never existed, she would reign as the absolute legend of this entire academy. Then, our underdog steps up. Class A's Kim Sun-woo. Instructors claim he possesses a hidden talent for enhancement. The professor's gaze narrows intently. Compressed materialization crackles within his palms, a supreme veteran technique. Even Lucio stares, while Yu trembles in pure shock. He hurls his furious mana forward. The crowd completely loses their minds. But right before impact, the raging energy totally evaporates. Dead silence swallows the arena. A single voice shatters the quiet. Why materialize power if you cannot even unleash it? In mere seconds, our hero becomes the ultimate laughingstock of the academy. A total nightmare, right? Wrong. He absolutely needs this public humiliation. Every mocking sneer etched onto their faces serves as pure, unadulterated fuel. Sun-woo possesses a heaven-defying system unique to him alone. His ultimate power scales directly with his absolute infamy. Humiliation is not his downfall, it is his absolute strength, and he needs every single solitary point to survive. Academy girls treat him like absolute garbage. For him, this is pure gold, an infinite point farming paradise. They sneer at him, demanding he keep his filthy distance and remember his pathetic place. Blinded by obsession with Lucio Jun, the golden protagonist of destiny, yet not a single soul realizes the dark truth. This flawless hero is fated to die a gruesome death. Sun-woo witnessed his brutal end. He survived the apocalyptic timeline where Lucio perishes, reality shatters, and everything crumbles into suffocating purple ash. He tasted ultimate despair once, foolishly believing this destined hero could miraculously save their doomed world. Reborn 7 years prior as the Academy Clown, his only salvation is devouring notoriety, seizing absolute power, and violently rewriting fate itself. 232 faces memorize his catastrophic failure. 1,000 glorious points. One day of absolute public humiliation yielded a staggering 10,000 points. However, this academy refuses to let his legendary failure die. His pathetic exam footage went brutally viral everywhere. Morning arrives. He steps into class, greeted by mocking whispers and venomous stares. He is officially the school's biggest pariah. Suddenly, an arrogant blonde brat named Park calls him over, flashing a truly sickening sneer. He openly mocks him. Yesterday was pure comedy. He demands to know where his pathetic mana vanished. He then venomously questions if his family bribed the academy, claiming only filthy money buys such trash admission. He ruthlessly brands Sun-woo as trash, threatening absolute hell if he disobeys his commands. The scene sharply shifts to the bustling cafeteria. Sun-woo casually shares a table with the golden boy, Lucio Jun, and his loyal friend Shin. Across the hall, a chilling glare pierces the crowd. Seiyuna is not laughing. Her icy gaze locks onto Sun-woo, fiercely calculating an impossible mystery. How on earth did the academy's worst trash earn a seat beside the untouchable hero, Lucio Jun? Boiling with jealousy, she despises him for monopolizing her crush. True friendship is forbidden here. The scene snaps to their intense second practice session. Sun-woo quietly hoarded infamy, unlocking powerful new traits. He reassigned his vital stats. Now, stepping into the arena, an entirely different, terrifying aura surrounds him. The mocking crowd anticipates another pathetic, miserable failure just like his first catastrophic exam. He channels a flawless, pulsating azure mana sphere. With devastating precision, he fires, obliterating the target into absolute nothingness. Yesterday's relentless bullies now stand completely paralyzed in dumbfounded silence. Someone finally whispers, acknowledging his terrifying, hidden potential. Another mutters in absolute shock. His sudden explosive power defies all logic. Overnight, the ultimate laughingstock achieved a monstrous evolution, surpassing their entire year of training. Suddenly, a sharp ringtone shatters the silence. A new group chat pops up with Shin, Yu, and Jung, though he only recognizes Yoon. A future key player, completely unaware of her own dormant, terrifying abilities, resting quietly in the background for now. Jung demands everyone reveal their hidden combat specialties. Bubbling with hype, Sun-woo proudly declares absolute elementless manifestation. However, his classmate scoffs that the entire academy already knows. Seo-jun will act as the vanguard, while the rest merely provide backup. To snatch that coveted top rank, They must completely crush Ura's squad. Soon after, raw magic explodes across the training grounds. The instructor observes a student sacrificing spell activation for rigid control. Her aura requires a far more explosive output. Unleashing her energy, she hurls a blazing sphere of raging flames. Both peers and the instructor stand entirely speechless at her terrifying natural aptitude. Yet, the instructor attributes this to pure youth. Her erratic energy flow desperately requires refinement. Suddenly, a deafening explosion of azure light erupts directly behind her. It is Kim, practically vibrating with absolute triumph. The instructor gasps, recalling his past struggles with materialization. Now, using a mere fraction of aura, his spellcraft is flawlessly executed. Self-correction is incredibly rare at that age. With that revelation, the session concludes, and the exhausted students finally disperse. Halting Kim's departure, the mentor offers high praise. The youth humbly credits his relentless, solitary training sessions. She probes into his daily aura cultivation routine. Kim instantly senses she has detected his severely restricted magical reserves. He simply nods, while his mentor praises his otherwise flawless technique. He insists he is giving everything, so she gifts him an artifact. This special bracelet will fiercely stabilize his internal mana breathing. The mage hesitates to accept it, but she reassures him it is a simple F-rank item. Expressing deep gratitude, our protagonist departs, silently examining the mystical accessory. Lurking nearby, Aura fiercely glares at him. She demands his attention, but the mage coldly questions her sudden interest after their previous clash. The crimson-eyed rival mentions his alliance with 𝑵𝑬𝑾. Accusing him of leeching off the genius, she boldly declares the absolute top rank belongs solely to her. She pivots and storms away in sheer irritation. Kim merely sighs, entirely baffled by her explosive hostility. Dawn breaks, and our hero sprints frantically to barely escape tardiness. Lee rallies the newly gathered squad, demanding absolute perfection for the semester. The atmosphere crackles with anticipation, though Shin notes their bizarre lineup. Top genius paired with the dead last. Kim silently questions the mockery. Shin brutally questions if the underdog can survive after his pathetic exam scores. Sensing the blatant provocation, Kim maintains an utterly cold expression. Jung smoothly intervenes, trusting Lee's judgment to carry the weakling. Internally, Kim realizes this arrogant fool simply intends to leech off their captain's overwhelming power. He also calculates that Yoon's awakening will be delayed, an undeniable butterfly effect from rewriting the timeline. Regardless, victory with this chaotic squad remains completely uncertain. An administrator suddenly signals, preparing to outline the treacherous dungeon protocol. Divided into twin phases, today's brutal trial will exclusively target the labyrinth's initial layer. Blinding speed directly translates into vastly superior scores. Carrying substantially weaker allies triggers massive individual point multipliers. Furthermore, this artificial abyss utilizes a deeply unique contribution metric. Maximum support guarantees maximum rewards, but absolute vigilance is utterly vital. Gates finally open. As adrenaline surges, Mr. Jang retreats to the surveillance bunker, where instructors eagerly await to wager on the Supreme Squad. Naturally, all wagers blindly favor Ara's elites. Yet, one lone mentor gambles entirely on 𝑵𝑬𝑗in's third division. Despite both teams heavily utilizing underdog multipliers, a colossal power gap remains. Instructor notes Lee's incredibly volatile lineup. Even with supreme physical enhancements, his stamina has strict limits. Such melee-focused magic severely struggles against massive monster swarms without flawless backup. Conversely, Ara's destructive area spells have already obliterated halfway through the zone. Despite the heavy doubts, fate remains unwritten. Deep within the shadows, Lee masterfully severs a monstrous beast. Advancing through the suffocating, vermin-infested darkness, Shin and Jung openly marvel at their captain's lethal swordsmanship. Nearing the midpoint, they nervously speculate about the final guardian's horrific nature. Paralyzed by dread over a catastrophic threat, Yoon begs Lee for a prediction. Kim calmly interrupts, declaring a colossal dire wolf awaits. Shin aggressively questions the underdog's sudden foresight. Kim vaguely shrugs, masking the absolute truth. He has already survived this exact timeline. Scoffing at the perceived lie, Shin groans, while Lee coldly states belief is entirely optional. Demanding immediate silence, their captain forces the march forward. However, moments later, Lee suddenly commands an absolute halt. Smirking, Shin teases if the legendary 𝑵𝑬𝑗un actually feels fear, but a mysterious anomaly on the ground suddenly interrupts them. An unknown azure magic circle pulses beneath them. Panic strikes Young, questioning its threat level, though Shin brushes it off as a harmless academy test. Kim kneels to inspect the glowing runes, as his comrade issues a tense and heavy warning. The boy calmly assures them it poses no threat. It is nothing but a basic defensive ward. Their heavy-set ally demands proof. Little do they know, Kim vividly remembers this exact formation from his previous life. He thrusts his hand into the blinding light, remaining completely unharmed. Sweating slightly, Shin stammers that he already knew that fact. Baffled, Yang questions if this dead end forces a humiliating retreat, while Yoon searches for an alternate route. Suddenly, Lee commands everyone to stand back. He prepares to shatter the ward with his blade. His explosive, hyper-focus slash strikes true. A massive fracture violently tears through the magical shield. The squad erupts into triumphant cheers, but sheer devastation washes over them as the crack instantly mends itself without a trace. Refusing to surrender, their fierce leader prepares a second assault. Sensing the rising tension, Shin questions if he should finally intervene. It certainly seems necessary, though his true expertise heavily relies on absolute support. The young prodigy kneels once more, reaching for the azure energy. As his palm connects, an unnatural sensation sharply surges through him. He warns dismantling it could easily take 40 grueling minutes. However, Kim intercepts his hand, confidently declaring he will handle the burden. Our protagonist presses both palms against the central crest. Blinding light erupts as he triggers his unique trait, Outsider's Benefit, instantly deciphering the arcane formula. A glowing system window suddenly materializes, revealing critical data. It displays the floor level, threat difficulty, and the ruling boss. Channeling his overwhelming aura into the formation, the magic instantly yields. The impenetrable wall slowly dissolves, leaving everyone absolutely speechless. The anomaly casually announces his success, leaving the entire squad paralyzed by his impossible speed. Even the legendary Leo Jun watches with undeniable intrigue. A system alert grants another 5,000 points for interest level 1, leaving our hero utterly bewildered by the reward. Their victory is violently cut short. A monstrous wolf radiating blood-red malice descends. The first-floor boss aggressively charges forward, fangs bared and dripping with hunger. Jung gasps that Kim predicted everything perfectly. Without hesitation, Lee steps onto the front line, his blade blazing with magnificent power. He unleashes a devastating, earth-shattering slash. The titanic beast is instantly obliterated, cleaved perfectly in two. He slaughtered the terrifying boss like a mere low-level grunt. With the grim mission finally complete, an instructor approaches, highly praising Team 3 for securing second place. Lee coldly demands the winner's identity. Unsurprisingly, Team 7 conquered it 30 minutes faster, yet this bitter revelation barely phases him. Meanwhile, Young shivers, muttering about how absolutely terrifying Yu truly is. She cleared it in 4 hours and 11 minutes. A mere 2-minute delay would have dragged Team 3 down to third. Acknowledging this harsh reality, Lee sincerely thanks Kim. Without his critical intervention, survival was impossible. They share a brief, unspoken bond of mutual respect. The captain fiercely admits that avoiding total failure hinged entirely on shattering that barrier so swiftly. Lee humbly curses his own weakness, but Yoon gently reminds him that his devastating power essentially carried them through the hellish ordeal. Yet, this was merely the first trial. Countless battles await for the squad to completely seize ultimate victory. Out of nowhere, a sharp voice calls for the exceptional student, Kim's son, Woo. He turns to face the elite support magic instructor. She aggressively approaches with a life-changing proposition. Abandon everything and instantly transfer to the support department. Initially, sheer confusion washes over his face. Without a second of hesitation, he flatly rejects her. The professor is absolutely paralyzed by his immediate refusal, desperate to reveal a massive 5 million credit special talent scholarship. Our protagonist remains completely unfazed. She retreats in bitter defeat, while his stunned classmates loudly question his absolute sanity. They aggressively whisper about his horrific lack of manifestation magic. Any sane person would have crawled to blindly accept that golden ticket. Yu sharply asks if he truly intends to throw away such incredible prestige. Flashing a confident smirk, Lee voices his gratitude, but fiercely swears to forge his own legendary path in manifestation magic. The terrifying girl is genuinely taken aback by his iron will. Meanwhile, across the sprawling campus, a passing student heavily fixates on a highly intriguing figure. The boy turns around in absolute confusion, offering a brief greeting. Feigning adorable innocence, she purposefully mispronounces his name as Kim Shin-wook. He instantly corrects her, firmly stating his true name is Kim Sun-woo. Tilting her head, she curiously questions his mundane sweeping task. Our stoic hero bluntly states he was simply erasing filth. The eccentric girl praises his intense dedication with highly suspicious enthusiasm. The swift twirl, she bids her sweet farewell, flashing a bright smile as she wishes him a wonderful day. However, her eyes glint with absolute disgust, silently mocking his pathetic efforts. Suddenly, the Snail Bride achievement unlocks, violently granting him 1,000 points. In reality, the cunning mage was solely exploiting chores to aggressively farm system rewards. Mission fully accomplished, yet, lurking within the distant shadows, an unseen presence carefully monitors the terrifying anomaly. Back in the academy, today's lecture dives into terrifying monster classifications. From ferocious beasts to aerial horrors, the deadly list is endless. But the absolute pinnacle of nightmares, the demonized. The grim professor heavily challenges the quiet room, asking who truly understands their terrifying nature. Kim flawlessly details how they perfectly mimic fragile human flesh. Unless their fury explodes or they willingly unmask, absolute detection is completely impossible. The professor nods in grim agreement. They gorge on stolen human life force while violently commanding beastly hordes. They are walking calamities, fundamentally threatening to devour society from within. Because these monsters perfectly mimic human form, ordinary eyes cannot spot them. Only their sudden, pitch-black gaze reveals their sinister nature. Anxiety grips Kim's heart. He suddenly remembers that the very first demonic eye incident is fated to strike this week. Against all odds, mere student Lee crushes the beast in the original timeline, creating an absolute media frenzy. Lee could easily survive this. However, ensuring the perimeter remains secure is vital. Plus, shadowing Seo Jun from the shadows requires some serious, heavy cash. Moments later, Kim sinks into deep meditation, fiercely gathering his ambient mana. His energy breaches the 200s. With nature's blessing surging by 12%, he instantly absorbs another 300 points. His relentless, bone-crushing training is finally bearing fruit. Suddenly, a system notification flashes. Nature's blessing has evolved to Class 2, awakening the legendary trait, Heart of Nature. Thrilled, our hero knows purchasing that skill was pure genius. The cooldown is brutal, but his mana regeneration is godlike. His recovery speed skyrockets by 1000% for 1 epic minute. Though limited to daily use, Kim absolutely worships his manifestation class. A bitter memory surfaces of that instructor demanding he switch to support. Smashing barriers seems useless to the elite since manifesting them is impossible. Yet, securing that academic scholarship is desperately crucial. His bank account holds a pitiful 30,800. Academy life is basically organized poverty. But the young mage envisions a brilliant, high-speed method to rake in massive profits. Raiding deadly dungeons and slaughtering monsters risks absolute death. However, conquering the Great Towers presents a thrilling alternative. Obliterating the lower floors would be child's play, but his underage student status firmly blocks any official access. Suddenly, a spark of absolute genius strikes the rogue's mind. Later that evening, rumors of a spectacularly diligent student reached the faculty. Second year Kim Sun-woo was spotted at the crack of dawn, purifying the training grounds alone. Beaming with pride, one instructor praises his fierce classroom dedication. Meanwhile, a female professor smugly notes that manifestation students are just built completely different. Jealous rivals attempted to derail his focus, but our relentless outcast completely ignored their pathetic traps. Regardless, witnessing such a fiercely passionate and respectful warrior warms their hardened hearts. Back in the shadows, the cunning youth calculates his master plan. He realizes discarding his student identity is an absolute stroke of genius. Ding! The secret achievement, beloved by instructors, is unlocked. Bagging a massive 2,000 points, a victorious grin spreads across his face. Without hesitation, he blows 10,000 points in the system shop. Radiating a darkly menacing aura, his mysterious new purchase guarantees a massive payday. When Saturday dawn breaks, a stern sentinel demands to verify his official mage credentials. Rocking sharp glasses and slicked back hair, Kim casually presents the document. The skeptical guard scans the ID, only to freeze in sheer disbelief. The screen flashes. C-rank mage Kim Jin-woo, 25 years old. Our hero smirks with absolute triumph. Though confident in his flawless deception, wielding a black market identity still sent shivers down his spine. Official mage licenses here hold terrifyingly sacred power. Bound by ancient magical formulas, forgery is deemed entirely impossible. Furthermore, his physical disguise is an absolute masterpiece. With a gaze like steel, Kim plans to absolutely conquer the tower, then rush to the Han River by 9:30 to guard Lee's fateful battle. A spectral voice suddenly echoes, welcoming him to the legendary Tower of Trials. He possesses clearance straight up to floor 27. Prompted for his destination, Kim instantly selects the 10th floor, despite warnings that repeating a conquered zone severely penalizes the final loot. Eyes burning with excitement, the reckless youth completely ignores the warning. He is hunting for a far greater prize. Mystical portals offer instantaneous teleportation across these deadly realms. Countless spires exist, each swarming with unique nightmare creatures and lethal traps. The danger scales wildly. However, the infamous Tower of Trials from the original timeline is a bloodbath that most veterans desperately avoid. Second Kim crosses the threshold, a colossal, bloodthirsty wolf blocks his path. The monstrous beast lunges forward with a purely demonic, savage fury. Yet, a single, devastating spell instantly obliterates the pathetic creature. Ding! He claims the first blood achievement, easily scoring 1,000 system points. The true nightmare of this spire lies in its intricate traps and high-tier magical arrays, meaning it is an absolute paradise for a prodigy like him. Sensing ample time to eradicate every obstacle, he plunges deeper into the carnage. Meanwhile, the Han River banks are practically overflowing with people. While Lee's companion insists on capturing a peaceful memorial photo, our lone hero is busy violently massacring hordes of shadow beasts. Barely breaking a sweat, he casually extracts a glowing mana crystal valuable enough to easily cover his travel expenses. Scanning the treacherous terrain, the outcast zeroes in on his true target. Locating the hidden coordinate, he presses his palm against the fiercely glowing golden wall. Ding! Professional barrier breaker unlocked. Another glorious 2,000 points flood his system. He has breached the spire's hidden dimension, the imaginary world. The ancient tower awakens, causing the mysterious ambient mana to violently ripple. Naturally, our triumphant champion secures the legendary Mystery Explorer title, hoarding a massive 5,000 points. Kim is engulfed in absolute euphoria. Then, an ancient voice ominously whispers to the challenger of the tower. A magnificent golden goddess statue towers over him, challenging the boy's worth. Her eyes blaze with divine light, as glowing energy bursts from the blooming flowers. But those are no shooting stars. They are bloodthirsty, cackling fairies. Sure, these C-rank pests lack raw power, but their twisted minds shatter around humans, turning them into frenzied killing machines. Lee strikes first, landing a devastating blow. He knows absolute speed is their only salvation. His blade dances in chaotic frenzy, desperately shredding through the swarm of floral nightmares. Suddenly, Kim halts, pressing his palms against the shimmering barrier. The truth hits him. Slaughtering these beasts will not clear the trial. Brute force alone cannot prove his destined worth. He activates his outsider perk, chanting the ancient, forgotten magical incantation. Yet the golden deity demands more proof. Kim realizes his true power lies in decoding that mystical formula. Handling his unique abilities, he triggers a system alert. The Tower of Trials recognizes his legendary feat, rewarding 10,000 points and a D-rank adaptive blessing. He loots an enchanted grimoire, plus a legendary red dragon soul. He grabs 1 divine seed and 5 holy herbs. Furthermore, his magic skyrockets, 5 levels. His mana regeneration surges by 20%, while overall magical power amplifies by 10%. The system officially congratulates his hidden floor victory. Back outside, the grand festival kicks off. However, a chilling detail in their recent photo catches Lee off guard. A sinister shadow lurks behind them. That top hat elder is secretly a demonic mine. The creature violently twitches, masking its demonic nature. Checking his watch at 9:30, Kim wonders where Lee is, just as the nightmare locks its terrifying gaze upon him. This fiend belongs to the main storyline. If Kim blindly attacks and derails the destined plot, the butterfly effect could trigger an absolute catastrophe. An innocent bystander foolishly approaches the disguised monster. A blood-red aura erupts from the beast. Kim prepares to intervene, but tragedy strikes instantly as the civilian suffers a lethal blow. The fiend's fist punches straight through the man's heart. Tossing the corpse aside, the frail elder transforms into a hulking, muscle-bound abomination. Sensing fresh prey, the towering monster turns its bloodthirsty gaze toward a terrified girl. Panic erupts as the crowd screams for backup. Realizing time is up, Kim swallows his hesitation and readies for battle. Protecting innocent lives heavily outweighs preserving the novel's original timeline. Nearby, Lee's crew flashes the cursed photo to an elite security officer, who immediately identifies the demonic threat. Knowing the creature is lurking in the crowded plaza, the agent panics. This is catastrophic, because demons evolve rapidly by devouring human souls. Instantly, a massive shockwave of magical energy explodes in the distance. The elite agent sprints desperately toward the blast. Arriving at the scene, Lee watches in awe at the mysterious savior. The beast unleashes a devastating strike, but miraculously, a sturdy table shields the girl. Caught in the deadly crossfire, our hero must act immediately. The hulking demon violently charges at the helpless victim. Analyzing the deadly aura, Kim identifies a B-rank nightmare. Clashing head-on would mean absolute, immediate slaughter. Condensing every drop of magical energy, he fires a lethal sniper shot straight at the beast's vulnerable nape. A blinding blue explosion rips through the air. Mana shards rain down, yet the towering behemoth shrugs it off, roaring for blood. Half of its grotesque face is blown away, but the flesh rapidly stitches back together. Kim curses his luck, realizing a brain-destroying strike was required. Dripping with a sinister purple aura, the fully enraged monstrosity propels its massive body directly at the lone mage. He wanted to keep his trump card hidden, but survival leaves no other option. The heart of nature awakens. His energy regeneration explodes to an unbelievable 1,000% per minute. Engulfed in a swirling magical storm, Kim sets a 1-minute timer. Even without a guaranteed kill, he will cripple this monster with absolute destruction. The fiend desperately raises its arms to block, but relentless arcane fire chars its thick hide. The magical onslaught continues. With mere seconds remaining, the overwhelming combo shatters the beast's guard, as our hero fiercely taunts his enemy. Locking onto the demon's skull, the bespectacled mage channels a lethal strike, drawing an agonizing, ear-piercing shriek. Victory seems within reach until the agonizing 1-minute mark hits. His mana core empties entirely, leaving the wounded beast battered, but rapidly healing once more. Just then, the elite agent descends like lightning, slicing the abomination into ribbons. He coldly declares the catastrophic threat neutralized. Introducing himself as Special Forces Agent Zhang Haiyan-Su, he praises the young mage for severely weakening the target beforehand. Imposing officer requests the boy's official mage license, intending to verify his identity and grant a handsome bounty. The elite agent gasps in absolute disbelief at the C-rank classification. He swore this powerhouse was easily a high-tier B rank. Catching his breath, Kim spots Lee and Shin spectating from the crowd, visibly annoyed by their incredibly late arrival. Meanwhile, from the shadows, the duo narrows their eyes, sensing an undeniable, mysterious familiarity with this overpowered stranger. Lee approaches the young man, questioning him about a certain Kim Sun-woo. He presses further, noting this individual attends the prestigious Magic Academy. Shin suspects a hidden bloodline connection. However, our quick-witted protagonist smoothly lies, claiming absolute ignorance of the name. Yang dismisses him as a harmless nobody, ordering a retreat. The agent showers the stranger with deep gratitude, though Lee's eyes narrow with lingering suspicion. Feigning perfect innocence, the young spellcaster humbly claims he merely fulfilled his duty. Meanwhile, Zhang finally departs the scene. Journalists and operatives will handle the impending aftermath. Bowing deeply, Kim expresses profound gratitude for his survival. Suddenly, a glowing system prompt materializes. It confirms his participation in defeating the B-rank villain Zhang Han, threatening to shatter the original timeline completely. The interface detects a timeline shift, awarding 5,300 points. Coincidence increases by 0.2. The protagonist realizes his interference altered destiny itself. If an action doomed Lee in the past, taking charge now might actually rewrite his tragic fate. Hitting 100 coincidence transforms him into a literal god, granting ultimate power. He might even secure a coveted ticket back to his original reality. Hesitation is no longer an option. His absolute mission now is safeguarding Lee's comrade, June, while aggressively hoarding coincidence points. He must constantly manipulate future events. Plus, Lee just bagged a massive 15 million won bounty for slaughtering that demonic beast. Hauling a massive trident back to his room would be absurd. This situation is flawless. He plans to finally unwind and relish his newly acquired wealth. Welcome to the luxurious Hansung Hotel, a premier sanctuary. They operate as a global conglomerate, wielding terrifying absolute authority, military might, and endless capital. This massive powerhouse dictates major events throughout the overarching narrative. Entering the grand lobby, our hero immediately spots Han Sejin, the intimidating vice chairman of the Hansung Empire. An aide mentions a dinner request from his sibling. Overhearing them, Kim catches the executive noting how long it has been since he last saw Xion. He remembers the character linked to Han Sung. That flashy trident screams for attention. Liquidating it is his smartest play. However, the magical scroll holds future tactical value. He plans to deliver the rare herbs to the executive's sister, though this pivotal meeting must wait until sunrise. By dawn, news broadcasts explode with breaking reports. A mystery challenger is making massive waves after conquering the hidden abyss within the Tower of Trials. Supposedly lowly C-rank spellcaster completely shattered expectations, single-handedly obliterating a frenzied demonic beast near the Han River following his triumph. This newfound champion is none other than Kim Jin-woo. The association publicly declared an official reassessment of his combat rank. His skyrocketing public fame triggers a system alert, permanently unlocking the highly coveted Little Hero title. 2 million citizens offer their gratitude. Thrilled, our protagonist celebrates farming 21,000 system points from a single press release. With his anonymity blown, approaching Han Xian becomes inevitable. Whispers fill the city streets, and our hero deeply revels in his newfound celebrity status. Suddenly, a terrifying presence appears. He spots the legendary handsome Blade Master, an awe-inspiring S-rank magic caster named Jang Suji. A chill runs down his spine. Encountering an apex predator casually strolling by was never the plan. Thankfully, the front desk clerk immediately recognizes him. Stating his identity, he demands a direct audience with the director, aiming to trade the legendary botanical treasures harvested from the tower. The executive smirks, deeply intrigued by hosting the city's newest sensation. However, the true shock factor lies entirely within his mysterious merchandise. Xian senses an overwhelming aura pulsating from the plant, yet it completely lacks the standard mana vein structure found in normal magical flora. Deeming this anomalous ingredient incredibly difficult to refine, she sharply questions how he possibly deciphered its hidden alchemical properties. Playing the seasoned scholar, he claims years of medical research led him to identify this exceedingly rare botanical catalyst. It acts as a divine amplifier for other regions, though completely dormant and utterly useless when consumed by itself. The entire world remains ignorant of its refinement process. Only this prodigy alchemist sitting before him holds the key, yet doubt clouds her sharp eyes. Acknowledging the priceless herb, the shrewd executive asks if our hero holds any specific conditions for the trade. He wants 500 million won and 0.005% of Hansung Pharmaceuticals. Sion is baffled by the tiny share. She thinks he underestimates her empire's scale. Smiling sharply, Kim declares that tangible results matter more than mere money. Once mass-produced, this divine flora will absolutely monopolize the entire global healing industry. Executive attempts to renegotiate, perfectly falling into his calculated trap. Pivoting smoothly, he demands elite VIP auction privileges alongside a highly classified elixir. He still intends to pay. Suspicious, Sion asks if he needs her as a messenger. In exchange, he promises to expose her brother Han Sejin's most guarded fatal vulnerabilities. He knows her ruthless ambition. Her desire to conquer the Hansung conglomerate burns so intensely, she would gladly obliterate her own bloodline to ascend the throne. Deep in the shadows, demonic entities lament their fallen comrade's demise, deeply regretting their hesitation. A towering fiend roars in pure agony, screaming that he could have prevented this slaughter. Another entity coldly orders 𝑵𝑬𝑾 to calm down, enforcing an absolute demonic command. Intervening to rescue a frenzied ally surrounded by an ocean of human hunters would only invite total annihilation upon their hidden faction. Still burning with wrath, the beast curses their cowardly existence in the shadows. Veins bulging, he violently swears absolute vengeance upon that miserable human, Kim Jin-woo. Another fiend questions this reckless move. Since their target remains close to the client, 𝑵𝑬𝑾 possesses absolutely zero clues regarding that mysterious individual's true identity. Certain beasts lurk in the shadows, happily slaughtering their own bloodlines with twisted, grinning faces. Wearing a deceitful smirk, Sean casually mentions her long absence from her sibling. Shortly afterward, Sejin questions the corporation's stability. However, his sister complains about brutal workloads and the utterly draining reality of managing corporate vultures. Exhaustion radiates from her. Her brother remarks that their father acted recklessly by granting an inexperienced youth the enterprise. Meanwhile, Sean secretly calculates that if the burden crushes him, she can simply claim total ownership whenever the opportunity strikes. Simultaneously, Kim secures her number, trusting that dual secret profiles guarantee absolute security. Ultimately, his scheme succeeded brilliantly. Her intervention completely settled the boy's nerves, proving her fiercely sharp intellect. She is likely verifying if his whispered vulnerability holds any true tactical value. Suddenly, Sean's text arrives, declaring her temporary loyalty lasts merely 30 days. Promising immediate advance payment, she cautiously inquires if his dark agenda requires further supplies. Sean completely believes him. Gaining another 1,000 system points happens shockingly fast. He demands a potent elixir and exclusive passage into the shadowy subterranean coliseum. She promises quick delivery, yet demonic threats plague his mind since he clearly remembers the original timeline's bloody vengeance. Consequently, he purchases a murderous aura detection skill from the system. This absolute radar senses approaching assassins within 500 meters. Tragically, it demands 50,000 massive points. However, framing this immense cost as mere life insurance makes the bitter pill easier to swallow. Several days vanish before the mystical concoction finally finishes. Brewed from heavenly roots, its backlash remains utterly devastating. It skyrockets mana regeneration by 500% for 5 minutes, leaving him completely powerless for 30 agonizing minutes afterward. Narrowing her eyes, Sean finds it incredibly bizarre that a master spellcaster desires such dangerous medicine. Furthermore, she questions how this enigmatic stranger unraveled her bloodline's deeply buried aristocratic secrets. Following Kim's ominous tip, she investigated her siblings' hidden tracks, unearthing a truly terrifying chain of events. Despite his known sinister nature, she never suspected literal murder. Worse still, faint magical trails confirmed forbidden communications with underworld fiends. Desperation fills her demands for answers. Yet, we understand his foresight stems entirely from mastering the original novel's plot. Consumed by greed, Sejin forged demonic pacts to become pure evil. Smiling slyly, Kim bargains his knowledge for 5% of the entire farming guild's royal profits. Scoffing coldly, Sean snaps that refusing outright would honestly waste much less of her time. Regarding the underground pass, the magic forbids mere transfers. Bound by its rules, both warriors must brave the perilous shadows together. Observing carefully, our protagonist notes her tactical disguise perfectly fits the occasion. When pressed about his ultimate scheme, he smirks, claiming his newborn fortune urgently requires explosive multiplication. Trembling with fury, Sean scolds his absolute insanity for bringing hard-earned blood money into illegal betting. Unfazed, Kim cheerfully nods. Believing his mind has shattered, sheer disappointment completely overwhelms her racing heart. Fascination plummets instantly. Unbothered, the wizard dons a gleaming golden rabbit mask, Knowing this slaughterhouse will forge his ultimate unshakable confidence before the sun rises. Approaching a shadowy figure, they receive elite wristbands. The masked stranger cryptically whispers that an eternity has passed since their last encounter. Realization strikes Kim like lightning. That man is Harang, the supreme S-class disaster. Naturally, the Grand Mastermind controls this entire subterranean slaughterhouse. Our protagonist must navigate carefully to avoid this death trap. Observing the massive roaring crowds, Sean notes the atmosphere feels incredibly electrifying. Kim attributes this madness entirely to Yang Hongju. That man remains the reigning superstar, a legendary spellcaster dominating the championship throne for 3 consecutive years. Suddenly, dread hits the woman. Massive profits seem impossible since the entire crowd blindly wagers their fortunes on the champion. Yet, our brilliant strategist steps forward to gamble. Without flinching, he throws 530 million toward the champion's utterly unknown challenger. Struck totally speechless, Sean stares in pure bewilderment, completely ignorant of this mysterious dark horse. Whispers reach Rian regarding a rookie dumping unimaginable wealth onto Hongju's rival. This audacious gambler's only defining feature remains that eerie rabbit disguise. Smirking, the fiend dismisses the massive sum as pocket change. He assumes a spoiled aristocrat simply harbors a pathetically tragic taste in warriors. Simultaneously, Beck uncovers Kim's presence within the blood pit. A sinister joy fills him, finally grasping a solid lead on this untraceable ghost. Summoning his ride, he vows that tonight's darkness shall witness Jang Han's bloody vengeance. Inside the stadium, absolute chaos erupts. 2 gladiators clash fiercely. Crushed under overwhelming might, the battered loser begs for mercy, instantly crowning the first match's undisputed conqueror. Fury erupts from the bleachers. The cowardly surrender just cost thousands of gamblers their entire life savings. Sean observes this hidden coliseum breeds pure, unadulterated savagery. However, the shadowy masters strictly halt matches before actual death claims the defeated. Now, the ultimate showdown begins. Riang holds 530 million against Yang Hongju's colossal 2.8 billion. Grinning wildly, Kim watches the sheep securely back the champion. Rumors swirl about a masked madman risking millions on Riang, facing total, devastating financial ruin upon inevitable defeat. Unbothered, our hero calculates his masterstroke. If fate obeys his design, his glorious payout multiplies 6-fold. As the towering gladiators finally emerge, Sean gasps in horror at their completely absurd, reality-defying weight class disparity. The anomaly stares at the surprisingly frail fighter. Yet, chasing fortune wasn't the sole purpose behind this dangerous visit. Notorious John Syndicate, those destined antagonists, would eventually recruit Ryan. Kim needed to witness this future threat's raw combat prowess firsthand. Swallowing his mounting anxiety, he clings to the original plotline. Fate was already written. He just had to trust it. This slender warrior remained an undefeated legend here. Meanwhile, arrogant Yang scoffs at the arena's pathetic standards. Disgusted by his scrawny opponent, the brute decides on a quick execution. He launches a savage, unhinged assault, but the phantom-like boy evades with terrifying grace. But that flawless evasion ends with a devastating impact. The frail fighter crashes violently against the concrete, shattering Kim's confidence in the timeline. Above ground, Beck's ominous vehicle finally pulls into the shadowy facility. Fiend craves immediate bloodshed, yet disrupting Rian's territory invites death. The spectacle concludes at 10:30. Patience would soon reward him with Kim's head. Back in the blood-stained ring, Ryan suffers a merciless beating. The scrawny combatant has been reduced to a helpless human shield. Aang demands the trash stay down, unleashing a bone-crushing kick to seal the absolute massacre. The slender youth lies utterly broken beneath the hulking victor. Kim watches in absolute, stunned silence. Yet, as triumph settles, a deadly spectral lance impales the giant from behind. Rising like a vengeful corpse, Ryan ignites his final sparks of aura. This undead resilience only fuels the Titan's blinding rage, forcing a catastrophic counterattack. Suddenly, venomous purple energy manifests into countless deadly stakes. They barrage the giant's torso mercilessly, inflicting fatal, flesh-shredding wounds. Defeated mountain of muscle crashes down, utterly annihilated. A suffocating silence swallows the paralyzed audience. Kim decides to vanish while he can. However, the demonic overlord refuses to let his prey slip away. Ryan's victory rode on sheer arrogance, yet the monstrous observer detects a deeper scheme hiding within that massive wager. He commands his shadowy hounds to hunt the jackpot winner. Outside, Cyan questions her companion's seemingly prophetic gamble. Feigning ignorance, Kim plays it off as pure luck, leaving her frustrated by his constant, infuriating secrets. That reckless wager secured 3 billion won and unlocked the Peerless Gambler title. More importantly, Cyan's faith in him deepened. Level 1 affection rewards him with 7,000 recovered points. But without warning, a suffocating, murderous aura engulfs him. His plot knowledge triggers a chilling realization. A bloodthirsty fiend is seeking brutal vengeance for Jang. Sensing his dread, Cyan probes for answers. He immediately requests an urgent favor, just as she detects an unnatural shift. 𝑵𝑬𝑾 commands a sudden halt, ordering an immediate, merciless execution. Stepping into the cold night, he discovers the girl has mysteriously vanished. Doubt creeps in. Could this pathetically weak, untrained fool truly be the one who slaughtered Janang? His aura feels incredibly pathetic. Wasting no breath, our hero immediately swallows his supreme 5-minute enhancement elixir. The bitter liquid burns, but raw power surges. Kim had anticipated this deadly ambush from the very beginning. 𝑵𝑬𝑾 senses a minor shift, yet remains entirely unimpressed. The demon conjures blazing crimson lances, shocked this fragile mage perceived him. He unleashes the blistering inferno at terrifying speeds. However, the boy's azure energy sphere and spirit weapon are already drawn. Blinding shockwave erupts from the violent clash. Yet, two relentless blazing projectiles pierce the smoke, screaming toward the boy. Survival demands absolute flawless agility. A deafening blast shakes the isolated park, leaving Cyan completely terrified within their hidden vehicle. Moments prior, Kim revealed the chilling truth of their stalker. She had nervously suspected a hostile corporate syndicate. He gave a vague confirmation, directing her toward an abandoned wasteland. Panic gripped her. Could he actually survive this monster? He admitted the grim reality. The enemy possessed monstrous magic far beyond B rank. He desperately needed backup. Mid-battle, the cunning spellcaster flawlessly evades the dual infernal strikes. Thanks to his physical enhancement origins, evasive maneuvers are child's play. Annoyed, 𝑵𝑬𝑾 mocks his cowardice and manifests even more flames. Cold dread strikes Kim. These projectiles are terrifyingly swift. He violently launches his entire body sideways to survive. Fiend's rage intensifies. With the elixir's divine timer dangerously close to zero, our protagonist prepares for a final clash. The spellcaster awakens the mythical heart of nature. 𝑵𝑬𝑾's eyes widen as an overwhelming, monstrous aura erupts from the boy. Surging forward like a lightning bolt, the hero blitzes the villain. Panicking, the crimson-haired fiend desperately summons a fiery barrage. Death looms inevitably closer. Knowing failure means annihilation, the demon bends a blazing lance into an impenetrable ring of inferno. But Kim's azure sphere surges with maximum power, blasting an unstoppable force directly into 𝑵𝑬𝑾's exposed chest. The devastating strike breaches his defenses, yet this catastrophic combo is just beginning. Refusing to grant any mercy, Kim unleashes another crushing blow upon the fiend. The desperate villain sacrifices his bare hands, but his defenses crumble. However, this desperate guard successfully shields his fatal skull. Split-second calculation. He launches an explosive upward strike directly beneath the jaw. Our hero tightly grips his throat, desperate to end this deadly clash instantly. But tragedy strikes. The 30-minute exhaustion violently triggers. He cannot land the final blow, yet 𝑵𝑬𝑾 remains critically wounded. The vicious enemy refuses to fall. Summoning a blazing spear of hellfire, he prepares to mercilessly obliterate our fallen protagonist. Out of nowhere, a devastating strike obliterates the foul demon from behind. The legendary Jang Suji has finally arrived. Kim exhales a shaky breath of profound relief. This supreme S-rank master utterly annihilated the A-rank threat with one flawless slash. Pure victory. Our boy vividly remembers this fearsome sword demon as an absolute powerhouse within the original timeline's lore. Absolute disgust burns in Jang's eyes. How dare this filthy beast threaten the precious youngest daughter of the mighty Hansung bloodline? Seon rushes over, her voice trembling with deep concern. He brushes off his injuries with a smirk, proudly claiming his stalling tactic worked perfectly. She scoffs gently. With her own survival at stake, she absolutely had to act. She summoned her absolute strongest ally. The wicked B-rank threat, 𝑵𝑬𝑾, lies defeated. History violently shifts, boosting the coincidence rate by 0.6. Seon's faith in him deepens. Another glorious 1,000 system points acquired. Our triumphant protagonist cannot hide his soaring excitement. The master suggests reporting this terrifying demonic ambush to the chairman, but Kim instantly protests, demanding absolute secrecy. Leaking news of a demonic assault on the prestigious Hansung family would ignite unstoppable, world-shaking panic. He cannot casually shatter the original timeline's delicate balance. Seon firmly nods, understanding the terrifying butterfly effect it might trigger. Bloody secret is buried. Her uncle quietly complies. 3 days pass, and we find our hero deeply lost in intense, strategic thought. As a grand reward for his heroic rescue, the young heiress promised to deliver the highly classified intel he desperately craved. With the revolutionary Shinsung potion launching, our protagonist boldly wagers his entire fortune on their skyrocketing corporate shares. Only one agonizing minute remains before the chaotic financial battlefield officially opens. In his tragic past life, endless dungeon raids barely bought him scraps. This sudden, overwhelming path to fabulous wealth feels wonderfully surreal. The sheer ease of it all feels terrifyingly strange. Suddenly, a message chimes. Seon requests an urgent meetup to present a highly secretive gift. He instantly sprints to the bustling cafe, locking eyes with her waiting figure. He excitedly reveals the pharmaceutical stocks absolutely exploded today. Her golden intel just crowned him a freshly minted millionaire. Did he hit the 5 billion mark? No, a staggering 3 billion in one single day. Overflowing with gratitude, he eagerly asks about his promised reward. Her gaze turns icy cold. She reveals a photograph, identifying their demonic assailant as 𝑵𝑬𝑾 𝑺𝑻, a legendary, bloodthirsty assassin masterfully hiding in human skin. The sickening truth drops. This monster secretly conspired with her treacherous older brother. Kim knew of the brothers' dark ties, but never expected this monstrous assassin. While crucial intel, he wonders where the actual gift is. The true prize awaits. She deeply desires to forge an unbreakable, mutually beneficial alliance. Seon slides over an elegant box, warning him of her upcoming brutal schedule. A flicker of worry crosses his face as he questions her sudden haste. Her eyes narrow fiercely. Discovering her brother's sinister link to 𝑵𝑬𝑾 exposes the true, cold-blooded mastermind behind their terrifying assassination attempt. She refuses to leave debts or grudges unpaid. Kim realizes she wrongly blames her brother for 𝑵𝑬𝑾, but that ruthless scumbag deserves to fall anyway. That snake will inevitably threaten her ascension. Weaponizing our protagonist to utterly crush the corrupt vice director is an incredibly brilliant, ruthless strategy. Snapping him back to reality, she beams brightly, genuinely hoping he cherishes this personally selected, mysterious treasure. A radiant smile crosses his face. It is an ultra-durable magical mana bracelet. An unbreakable bond forms, instantly rewarding him with 1,200 magnificent system points. An eerie shift occurs. The enigmatic Ryan develops a dangerous curiosity regarding Kim. A massive 1,500 points acquired. Elsewhere, a mysterious subordinate bows deeply before the terrifying demon, shattering a tense 10-year silence between them. The servant desperately questions if the master knows Kim Jin-woo. He nervously mentions the shocking, catastrophic defeat of their elite comrades, Jang and 𝑵𝑬𝑾. Both catastrophic failures tie back to one mysterious human mage. Before perishing, the assassin hunted a peculiar boy from this very combat arena. Pressing further about Kim Jin-woo, the demonic master smirks, instantly recognizing him as the bold VIP gambler who backed his victorious gladiator. Begging for dangerous intel, the servant fiercely vows to slaughter this human child, offering his severed head as a bloody tribute for the fallen. A lethal aura explodes. The villain coldly warns that threatening his highly valued client will guarantee an agonizingly brutal, unforgiving death. Sweating in pure terror, the subordinate violently bows, frantically promising to abandon his vengeful plot. He commands this message be delivered to the Dark Council. Trembling, the messenger reveals a chilling new prophecy has descended upon their sacred demonic altar. A catastrophic revelation. The fated child destined to obliterate demonkind shall awaken at 18, signaling the apocalyptic downfall of their almighty demon king. Smirking at the theatrical divine warning, the villain casually demands if any deeper, juicy secrets exist. The trembling servant drops the final bombshell. This world-ending 18-year-old child is currently hiding within the walls of the prestigious Magic Academy. Our protagonist decides to back off the Kim Jin-woo situation for now. Tangling with Rian is just a distraction. Destiny demands his attention elsewhere. He inspects the mystical scroll. This artifact summons an absolute barrier to negate one magical strike, recharging every 12 hours. Midterm evaluations are fast approaching. Every student must prove their worth before a daunting panel of Academy officials. This trial will define Lee's entire path. A fated child, blessed with demon-slaying abilities, is destined to stand by the hero's side. Desperate to crush this awakening power before it blooms, demonic forces breach the Academy at 4 in the afternoon. However, Leo Jun obliterates them effortlessly. Or rather, that was the original plot. Though it seems like a minor clash, the foreshadowing here is heavy. He must watch that prophesied child closely, not just Lee. From the grand stage, an instructor declares one final, game-changing announcement beyond the upcoming schedule. Groans of exhaustion echo through the crowd, but the instructor's voice cuts through. Combat is training, and training is combat. Prepare for the bloodshed. Every second-year student will face brutal sparring matches over the next few days. Those who fail to secure a dueling partner today will be sidelined, left to train alone in the shadows. Meanwhile, Yu burns with blazing fury toward Lee. Our reincarnated hero watches fate align. Those two are pairing up perfectly. Yet, the cruel reality hits hard. Absolutely no one wants to cross paths with the Academy's ultimate loser. Despite his brilliant tactical mind and barrier-shattering feats, his reputation remains cursed. No one will risk partnering with the weakest link, but such trivial rejection means nothing. Our strategist has already locked onto his fated target, while Lee pushes his training to absolute limits. A lethal strike whistles past Lee. He narrowly escapes destruction. Yu scoffs, mocking the so-called great mage's pathetic display. She arrogantly claims the throne is hers to take, but Lee smirks, warning his fierce rival that his true power hasn't even awakened yet. From a lonely distance, Yoon observes this terrifying clash. Watching Leo Jun and Yura dominate the top ranks shatters her spirit. Standing in the shadow of true geniuses feels utterly soul-crushing. Suddenly, distant whispers stab her heart. Two students mock her lowly rank of 82, sneering that her brilliant mind lacks any actual combat strength. Pity drips from their voices, a wasted genius with zero practical potential, whose only redeeming quality is a gentle heart. Trembling with frustration, Yoon unleashes a desperate surge of frozen mana, but the devastating ice wave shatters harmlessly against the unyielding training dummy. Tears of defeat prick her eyes as she curses her own weakness. Out of nowhere, Kim steps from the shadows, bluntly calling her magic brittle. He tears apart her technique. The frost lacks true bite, her aim is wild, and her magical foundation is completely crumbling away. Guilt suddenly strikes his conscience. He is the hidden cause behind her tragic stagnation. In the true timeline, Lee's dungeon guidance would have skyrocketed her to rank 6. His meddling stole that destined awakening, leaving her hopelessly stuck. Kim steps forward with a bold vow. Despite her current despair, forging an alliance with him will guarantee her rise to power. Driven by duty, he offers salvation. But Yoon glares back, bitterly labeling him as another arrogant bully. He accuses him of shattering her fragile confidence to hide his own pathetic weakness. Yet, Kim remains completely unfazed by her fiery outburst. He calmly notes she is simply lashing out because the bitter truth hurts. Heartbroken and furious, Yoon storms away, her trust in him completely destroyed. Guilt strikes our hero. He quickly offers a sincere apology. Her fighting spirit ignites. She challenges the Academy's infamous failure to a brutal duel, desperate to witness his supposed mastery firsthand. Thrilled, our mastermind smiles, knowing his trap has perfectly sprung. Yoon instantly summons a freezing vortex behind his back, declaring that war has begun. A devastating storm of jagged frost erupts. As deadly icicles rain down, Kim marvels at her sudden shift in absolute focus. Her magical density skyrockets. He praises her raw talent, yet calmly exposes the tragically predictable rhythm of her furious magical assault. She is merely brute-forcing her mana, twisting her body with strain. Raising his palms, he vows to reveal the true path to absolute mastery. Provoked, she unleashes a terrifying, hyper-concentrated beam of lethal absolute frost. A glacial shockwave detonates. Kim barely evades the catastrophic impact. Yoon stares in shock, finally achieving a breakthrough that endless solitary grinding could never spark. Impenetrable fortress of solid frost erupts upward, and our brilliant mage lands flawlessly upon its peak. He smiles, knowing that true power only awakens when pushed past the breaking point by a perfectly calculated emotional trigger. His ruthless provocation was the ultimate key. Panting, Yoon demands his next move. If he continues playing coward, their alliance is dead before it begins. Kim smirks, revealing the fatal flaw shared by all rookie manifestation spellcasters. He explodes forward with terrifying velocity. In a heartbeat, he breaches her defenses, declaring that close-quarter combat spells their immediate doom. He slams a condensed mana sphere into her guard. Yoon is sent flying back. She feels his overwhelming pressure, but the outsider effortlessly extinguishes her magic. With a calm smile, he declares the battle concluded. Defeated and trembling, Yoon slumps to the earth, finally admitting she desperately needs his magical guidance. Extending a warm hand, Kim gently assures her that her true, dormant potential simply needs the right spark to awaken. A confident smile graces his face as he vows to guide her, secretly knowing her awakening will elevate his own powers too. Their hands clasp, sealing a fateful pact. Yoon pledges her absolute faith just this once, sternly demanding her new master deliver flawless guidance. With their profound bond forged at level 1, she stands firmly as his loyal ally. Their grueling journey of elemental adaptation mastery begins right now. Passing her a freezing shard of ice, he declares, all mystical arts trace back to elemental adaptation. You must truly connect with your inner element. That profound resonance dictates the absolute peak of your spellcasting power. Without it, endless practice is completely meaningless. Yoon firmly argues that adapting to her freezing core is a brutal trial in itself. Shocked by this unknown approach, his mind halts completely, as if the entire world has been frozen in time. Kim reveals that sensing the energy coursing through her veins is the absolute fastest shortcut to instantaneous elemental harmony. Beneath a moonlit sky soaked in blood, Xion surveys the carnage. The most lethal demons stand ready, completely surrounding the Magic Academy. The hunt for the legendary prophesied child begins now. They plan a catastrophic invasion of the sacred grounds next week. Their hidden spy promises weak defenses during the upcoming exams. While one monster celebrates their impending slaughter, another questions Rion's missing reinforcements. Kian coldly dismisses the failure, Their dark sovereign is currently orchestrating a far grander scheme for their terrifying demonic future. The cruel huntress snaps back, claiming 4 mere B-class monsters can never assassinate such a destined powerhouse. The brute mocks her fear, confident they can easily crush a mere child, but she fiercely warns that weak barriers mean absolutely nothing. Elite guild scouts will swarm the academy during testing. She highly doubts their small squad can slaughter that many elite warriors. Chien grins wickedly, suggesting they simply abduct any fool who dares interfere. Suddenly, their menacing leader summons a colossal, terrifying dark barrier. He commands his bloodthirsty horde to unleash absolute hell under his watch. The prophesied child must be utterly destroyed. Turning to the brutal training, Kim commands, first the element, then the form. Burn that frosty sensation into your soul and visualize the ice. A flawless, crystalline snowflake materializes in her palm. In a flash, it morphs into a devastatingly sharp frost spear. Bursting with pride, she screams that she forged this deadly weapon using her own unleashed magic. An unseen observer marvels at her terrifyingly rapid evolution. Yunheang's absolute loyalty secures him another 1,500 points. She swears total obedience, making him sweat over her intense dedication. Demanding even harsher frost, she pushes through the agonizing pain. Kim knows this bitter suffering will forge her into a legendary partner for Liu Jun. In the shadows of the frozen pool, a hidden observer watches Yoon's agonizing trial. They mistake this brutal awakening for outright torture. Such extreme cruelty inside the prestigious Magic Academy cannot be tolerated at all. The faculty must be warned immediately. Suddenly, a calm voice startles the spy, praising the breathtaking beauty of a prodigy's explosive growth. The anxious student alerts Mrs. Lee, but the veteran instructor casually reveals she has been secretly monitoring this brutal elemental adaptation since day one. Hyung's spiritual mana control has skyrocketed to monstrous levels in record time. Her raw talent is terrifying, yet the true miracle is the brilliant mind who instantly diagnosed her core flaw and perfectly unlocked her dormant power. Stunned, the girl asks if Kim performed this miracle. The teacher smirks, amused that her student finally recognized someone beyond the elite rankings. Mrs. Lee confidently advises that Sun Woo harbors terrifying hidden potential, heavily hinting that his name will soon shake the entire academy. Disgusted, the girl scoffs that he is absolute trash tier. If he wastes energy coaching others, his own garbage ranking will never improve. With a knowing glint in her eye, the teacher simply challenges her to watch him shatter expectations in the upcoming trials. Soon after, Kim faces absolute despair. A mythical dimensional backpack holding 30 kilograms has appeared at a steep discount, vanishing in just 5 days. This god-tier artifact allows instantaneous summoning during deadly combat. Sadly, it costs 20,000 points, and his pathetic stash is a mere 8,500. The system ruthlessly mocks the poor. Our desperate spellcaster must somehow grind 11,500 points before his 5-day window slams shut. Out of nowhere, an urgent system ping flashes. Instructor Lee Hyang demands his immediate presence in the principal's office before lectures begin. Yua Ra, Park In-won, and Kim Sun-woo have been unexpectedly drafted into the most prestigious second-year manifestation masterclass. This elite battleground ignores pitiful academic grades, accepting only those practically overflowing with monstrous, raw talent. Kim quickly calculates that joining means forging a crucial bond with Lee. But suddenly, 5th-ranked Park sneers, furiously protesting Sun-woo's inclusion in their holy ranks. This golden-haired prodigy complains bitterly. Sharing the same breathing space with the Academy's most pathetic failure is an absolute insult to his elite status. Seeking validation, he begs the 2nd-ranked Ice Queen for support. With a chilling glare, she snaps back, ordering him to mind his own pathetic business. Boiling with frustration, Park silently curses her toxic, friendless attitude. Breaking the tension, the instructor demands Kim's response to this blatant disrespect. A fiery determination ignites in his eyes as he declares, "If my low status offends you, then watch me conquer the absolute peak." Impressed, the teacher smiles sharply. To claim his rightful seat, he must brutally crush the upcoming exams and secure a rank of 80 or above. Moments later, Kim excitedly assures Yoon their grand strategy will succeed. The second-year exams demand absolute teamwork. Students must pair up and survive a brutal clash against a towering green giant. Striking its shifting internal core guarantees an instant kill, but tracking it is nearly impossible. Merely surviving its savage onslaught secures a passing grade. However, true prodigies aim for the kill, seeking absolute victory. The crowd erupts in awe, praising Lee Seo-jun's expected brilliance alongside his partner's extraordinary skill. Now, the underdogs must rise. Ordering Yoon to carve a path, the outcast unleashes a full-throttle sprint. Yoon instantly flash freezes the arena, erecting a massive glacial fortress. Her partner vaults over the icy summit, his enchanted boots gripping the frost. Spectators whisper about his past ranking humiliation, praying his mana reserves will not completely fail him again. 254 spectators fiercely scrutinize Kim. With 1,000 points at stake, the crowd anticipates another disaster. Suddenly, his outsider perk ignites. This time, our protagonist refuses to be mocked. He instantly unleashes a devastating mana strike, piercing the behemoth squarely in its hidden core. The beast shatters completely as Kim charges his next spell. Enraged, the remaining green Leviathan stampedes furiously toward him. Overflowing with adrenaline, he thinks victory is assured. But spotting Chi and Hei in the bleachers shatters his focus right as the Titan strikes. Kim desperately launches his mana bolt, but it merely grazes the beast's shoulder, missing the lethal strike zone. As the audience mercilessly mocks the blunder, Kim's mind spirals. The shadowy mastermind behind the imminent invasion is currently inside the academy. A malicious infiltration plot is undoubtedly unfolding right now. Yet they were scheduled for 4 o'clock. Yoon screams for his attention just as a catastrophic punch shatters the earth, blasting our hero backward. Reacting instantly, Yoon conjures a devastating barrage of lethal ice spears. The icy projectiles shred the giant, violently freezing its massive limbs. Yoon pulls Kim to his feet, screaming for him to awaken. As the recovered beast winds up a fatal blow, Kim coldly commands her to move. A thunderous mana blast obliterates the giant. Both students gasp for air when the unthinkable occurs. Stunned silence washes over the arena. With both titans defeated, whispers erupt that the Academy's ultimate failure possesses monstrous combat prowess. Observing from above, the principal smiles, acknowledging the boy's undeniable genius. No one anticipated such a legendary display. Furthermore, Yoon's flawless support magic perfectly amplified his power. Overjoyed, she tackles him in a hug. Despite the victory, dread consumes him. Suddenly, a torrential flood of achievement points begins cascading into his system interface. Yet the rewards feel utterly meaningless. The sacred timeline of the original novel is fracturing. His reckless actions are rewriting destiny itself. The guaranteed future where he single-handedly saves the Academy might now be shattered. Securing second place, Yoon finally notices Kim's pale, sweat-drenched face. He forces a smile, blaming his trembling hands on pure exhaustion. He urges her to meet at the training grounds later, hinting at a crucial conversation. Fearing she ruined the exam, Yoon apologizes, but he softly reassures her that her performance was absolutely flawless. As they part ways, she gently insists he should abandon the training session if his energy is severely depleted. Racing against a corrupted timeline, Kim must desperately calculate the butterfly effect. If the core plot remains intact, Lee must be standing nearby. Exactly as predicted, Lee is swarmed by a desperate crowd. Elite scouts viciously compete to recruit the young prodigy. Top factions beg for his allegiance, but Lee politely declines, reminding the ravenous recruiters he is merely 18. Regardless, predatory agents aggressively shove guild contracts into his face. Spectators abandon everything just to witness his glorious combat exam. Suddenly, a booming voice violently shatters the intense recruitment frenzy. Kim shouts through the mob, declaring that Mr. Jang and Chill urgently demand a private meeting regarding his academic evaluations. Bystanders murmur about the Academy's former failure showing explosive growth. Using the distraction, Lee escapes the crowd, sprinting toward his supposed instructors. Promising to review offers later, he vanishes, leaving the frustrated scouts cursing their missed opportunity. Watching from afar, Agent Jang praises Lee's phenomenal battle. However, Kim Duke, the stoic Special Forces captain, dismisses it as merely adequate. A scarred veteran argues the boy wields magic rivaling the Grand Mage's, fitting for President Kim Jinch's personal disciple. Yet the captain senses a fatal lack of true combat experience, while Jong chuckles, noticing the leader is already plotting recruitment. Dax sharply questions why this particular student deeply unsettles the hardened captain. He solemnly confesses his lingering regrets from the catastrophic demon war at the Han River. Had Lee faced that slaughter, he would have forged unbreakable combat instincts. He then questions the commander about Kim. The response is clear. The boy's battle instincts are completely monstrous. Calling him a bottom-tier student feels like a massive joke. His movements go beyond mere reflexes, locating his enemy's fatal blind spots in an absolute flash. Such razor-sharp precision demands decades of literal battlefield survival. Young chuckles in disbelief, wondering exactly what kind of hellish realm an 18-year-old boy could conquer to gain that skill. Yet, the mysterious companion Lee brought up, the one bearing a striking resemblance to the legendary sorcerer Kim Jin-woo, turns out to be his very own bloodline. Witnessing a youth commanding such high-level condensed aura is absolutely mind-boggling. Commander silently burns that name into his memory. Elsewhere, Lee slings a casual arm around our protagonist, deeply grateful for the quick escape from that suffocating crowd, but he questions why they ventured into this chaotic zone. Kim smoothly covers, claiming they need a sneak peek at the brutal trials waiting for them next season. The golden-eyed boy desperately hopes to avoid being swarmed by those relentless corporate hounds again, but his companion promises they are completely hidden in this new sector. He then strikes a nerve, asking why Lee actively avoids claiming the Academy's supreme top rank. Lee's expression instantly darkens, dodging the heavy question entirely. He whispers that they need to keep their heads down and just observe the upcoming spectacle. Meanwhile, Kim's mind races toward the impending demonic ambush destined to erupt within the senior coliseum. This is the perfect ground to intercept the hidden traitor. The exact countdown to chaos remains completely unknown. Regardless, he must anchor Lee safely in place while hunting down Cheon-hae completely solo. It is the absolute safest method to shield Destiny's chosen child. Casually, he probes the boy about any suspicious encounters following the recent trials. Lee brushes it off, explaining that aggressive recruitment offers are a daily nuisance. He insists everything is perfectly under control. Our regressor breathes a heavy sigh of relief. The timeline of his past life remains unbroken. Suddenly, the roaring arena signals the start of the death match. A voice murmurs from the shadows. The mercenaries have breached the senior battleground, perfectly aligning with the Dark Spy's sinister blueprint. Kian coldly demands a status report. Lethal beasts are lurking in the shadows, and dark teleportation runes now stain every single corner of the Academy grounds. Knowing the beastly Jinin would lose control upon tasting human flesh, the conspirator banished the creature to an isolated sector away from prying eyes. The fiend wickedly applauds Yang Haiyan, who humbly credits his dark influence. The hour of doom has finally arrived. The bloody hunt for Destiny's child officially begins. Down in the combat ring, a female student surrenders, crowning Kim Chang-hyeon as the absolute victor. The crowd goes wild with deafening cheers. He stares in absolute awe. He immediately mimics the victor's aura projection, marveling at the beautifully disciplined techniques displayed in the brutal clash. Ignoring the spectacle, our protagonist frantically sweeps the bleachers, his eyes hunting for Chun-hee. Catching his anxious shifts, Lee questions his sudden distraction. Kim lies smoothly, claiming he is merely scouting for potential guild recruiters. The golden-eyed student laughs, pointing out how terrifyingly strong Kim has become since their previous semester. His first combat trial left the entire audience utterly speechless. Lee eagerly presses him to reveal the hellish training regime he recently endured. Suddenly, a spine-chilling dread washes over the regressor. The sky bleeds toxic violet, a demonic veil. Panic strikes him. This catastrophic event never happened in his previous timeline. Pure terror grips the students as they scream desperately for their instructors. Blind to the true nightmare, the crowds assume it is just a massive magic malfunction. Meanwhile, a hidden briefcase, strategically planted in the shadows, overflows with volatile mana crystals. A deafening shockwave shatters the arena as the stones violently detonate. High above the corrupted dome, glowing crimson eyes gaze down with pure malice. The Dark Lord issues the command for slaughter. Grotesque gremlins erupt from the shadows, sinking their fangs into any living soul they can catch. Emergency sirens scream through the speakers, declaring a full-scale monster breach and demanding immediate evacuation. Yet, every single elite instructor and combat mage is sealed within the cursed dome. With rescue completely impossible, the true target of this massacre will be forced out of hiding. Destiny's child has nowhere left to run. Amidst the bloodbath, elite operatives clash violently against the swarm, shielding the innocent. Zhang and Deke stand fearlessly ready. This fierce resistance completely blindsides the dark forces. Originally attending just to witness Lee's battle, these battle-hardened warriors are now tearing through the demonic ranks and desperately pulling students from the jaws of death. The golden-eyed prodigy watches in shock, wondering if these elite vanguards arrived specifically for him. Could this actually be Commander Dio's legendary strike force? An instructor desperately tries to maintain order, promising the terrified youth that salvation will come the second this cursed cage finally shatters. Kim quietly calculates the odds, realizing these legendary fighters could actually flip the tides of despair. However, a massive obstacle remains. How on earth do they shatter this unbreakable spell? The frantic crowd screams at the spellcasters for salvation, cursing their luck for leaving the protected zone. Cutting through the panic, the tactical support master steps forward. She grimly announces the brutal truth. To unravel this dark magic, they desperately need the raw power of another elite-tier restoration caster. Finding someone of that monstrous caliber here is virtually impossible. Yet, the desperate instructor commands them to search, warning that survival will otherwise require 30 agonizing minutes. Voices cry out in pure despair, questioning how two lone warriors can fend off an army for 30 full minutes. Kim tightly grips his weapon, fully aware survival is impossible. The enemy's absolute sealing magic is completely unrivaled across the entire mortal realm. Even within his past life's history, Lee only survived this villain through pure, unpredictable luck. With the odds stacked against them, Kim realizes he must finally unleash his true power. Before he can move, the traitorous Yang Yong dramatically steps into the light. Claiming to be a high-tier support caster, she flashes a reassuring smile, promising to save them all. Our regressor grits his teeth in sheer frustration. Exposing her demonic identity right now without a shred of evidence would only paint him as a madman and guarantee their doom. Flashing a sickeningly sweet smile, the dark spy requests assistance to begin her fake ritual. The hopeless crowd finally sighs in relief, entirely blind to the catastrophic trap closing around them. Lee breathes out, convinced their nightmare is ending. But Kim's eyes darken with absolute disagreement. Snatching his comrade's wrist, he drags him away. The instructor suddenly senses creeping dread. While she forces one shield upward, an unseen power violently crushes the opposite exit. This monstrous presence is escalating beyond all control. Catching Kim Yune's narrowing gaze, Chan senses her rising suspicion. He knows instantly that he must create a massive distraction. Elsewhere, the elite operatives relentlessly slaughter the goblin horde. Suddenly, the chaotic swarm pivots, launching a vicious surprise strike right toward Yang. In a flash of fate, a colossal spear obliterates the beast midair. Dio materializes after that flawless strike, checking if she survived. Asking her true nature, Yang flashes a grateful smile. Her sweet deception completely convinces the commander that this girl is a loyal ally. Never breaking momentum, he whirls around to slaughter more emerald fiends. Zhang frantically screams that their captain narrowly escaped a brutal ambush. His partner vows to surrender his rank if their leader falls. Steel clashes against flesh as an endless nightmare tide of monsters violently surges forward. The rookie operative swears upon his squad's sacred honor to shield her with his life. The demonic infiltrator expresses fake gratitude while subtly sabotaging their formation. Miles away, Lee questions their secluded location. Kim coldly reveals his master plan, unleashing the Grand Shield in complete secrecy. Confused about the Vanguard's chaos, the protagonist demands answers. Without hesitation, the hero shatters his illusions with the brutal truth. Horrified by the spy's deception, the youth threatens to expose her instantly. But Kim ruthlessly reminds him that accusations mean nothing without solid evidence. Lee claims the student possesses the undeniable evidence. His mastery over defensive spells earned him a prestigious scout, yet his companion scoffs, stating the masses will simply dismiss a rookie's claims. Once the champion erupts the ward, our protagonist will proudly broadcast the absolute truth. Naturally, an A-class prodigy's word carries massive weight compared to a mere pupil. Though Lee remains highly skeptical of his casting abilities, they prepare the ritual test. Kim presses his palms against the mystic array. Instantly, his unique otherworldly privileges surge into dominant action. Ancient runes violently unravel as the ultimate defense materializes. Yang watches in absolute horror as her master's demonic blockade crumbles. Brushing off his palms, the anomaly acts like it was mere child's play. He commands his comrade to charge forward and resolve the chaotic battlefield. Yet Lee hesitates with a burning question. Why conceal such godlike power? Basking in the glory of this achievement would bring endless prestige. The prodigy coldly shuts him down, demanding absolute silence. Simultaneously, Xian fiercely berates Yang's pathetic failure to sustain their dark magical blockade. The fiendish spy panics internally, desperately wondering what monster could shatter her doubly reinforced demonic seal. Yang praises their heroic efforts, boldly declaring that his elite unit will conquer the remaining threat. Zero hesitation follows. The Vanguard erupts into glorious combat. The professor unleashes breathtaking magical devastation, while Madame Lee proves equally terrifying in battle. Golden thunder explodes from her fingertips, instantly vaporizing the goblin scum. A bystander applauds her magnificent destruction. She proudly remarks that his lethal precision hasn't faded one bit. Zhang expresses deep gratitude, acknowledging their overwhelming strength secured swift victory. Yet Dio's instincts scream danger. The true puppet master lurks within the shadows, making their discovery the absolute top priority. Her eyes blazing with resolve, Kim Yun fiercely denies knowing the mastermind's identity. However, one blatant traitor remains. She violently hoists Yang by the uniform, roaring demands about her suspicious actions during the ward's collapse. Bystanders desperately attempt to defuse her blazing fury, but the instructor violently accuses the girl of harboring a demonic soul. Playing the fragile victim, the disguised fiend weeps about unjust persecution despite her fake assistance. Yet, the crowd's chilling glare pierces right through her pathetic act. Zhang questions if they should intervene, but his superior orders strict observation. Meanwhile, Yang crafts a desperate lie, claiming his delayed reaction came from synchronizing with the mentor's devastating arts. A horrifying realization strikes the group. Every attempt to shatter the magical blockade only doubled its impenetrable density. Suddenly, Lee intervenes, revealing Yang lurked inside the third-year combat arena. The bewildered mentor demands answers. He claims he sensed the shield's corrupted frequency using fundamental magical theory, masking his deep hatred for this necessary deception. It left him zero alternatives. Hearing this revelation, someone confirms an undeniable, chilling inconsistency within her alibi. Another operative named Yang already existed within the support unit. Cornered, the fiendish spy telepathically begs Lord Qian-hei for salvation. Boiling with dark wrath, he commands her to execute their final, suicidal protocol. Sensing this sinister energy spike, the hidden operatives strike instantly. Their flawless combined assault strikes true, but the shadowy form instantly evaporates, revealing an absolutely terrifying Class A demonic entity. Disaster strikes. Anticipating this catastrophic failure, Yang unleashes her sinister contingency plan without hesitation. Innocent bystanders scream as dark corruption violently mutates their bodies into absolute, muscle-bound monstrosities. Embracing her doom, she commands the abominations to massacre every single human in sight. Lunging at Li, her final strike is flawlessly deflected, utterly crushing her desperate rebellion. The towering mage smirks, declaring she invaded the absolute worst territory. Corrupted beasts crumble into lifeless ash. After all, this is a legendary magical academy. Breathing a heavy sigh of relief, Li expresses profound gratitude to leader Kim Dae-han for his timely rescue. Kim warmly notes their year-long separation, praising the youth's magical growth, adding his demon-slaying bounty can wait. However, the determined junior insists the veteran keep the reward. Dae-han earned every ounce of that praise, yet trouble was already brewing. A deafening blast suddenly shatters the area. The child of prophecy has arrived. A sinister figure scoffs at Yu's reputation, mocking the second-year prodigy's rank as a massive letdown. He questions if this supposed genius could ever truly rival the legendary Li Ojin, or if she's simply holding back to protect useless dead weight. Yoon flashes back to their sparring session, interrupted by a sudden monster ambush, which fueled her resolve to join the battlefield. Yet the fiery prodigy ordered her to flee, insisting on facing the danger solo. Meanwhile, the fiend taunts the struggling genius's pitiful power display. In his twisted eyes, she isn't even his true target. Crushing force, the abomination seizes Yu's throat, viciously suffocating her while drooling over the intoxicating, overwhelming mana coursing through her veins. As the crimson-eyed girl loses her breath, a devastating barrage of frost strikes the monster's blind spot. Yoon furiously commands the beast to release her comrade. Declaring herself his true opponent, she watches Yu crumple into unconsciousness, while the fiend sadistically mocks their pathetic bond of friendship. He sneers, questioning what her feeble magic could possibly accomplish. Yoon entirely grasps her own limits, yet abandoning her fallen ally is completely out of the question. Pouring every last drop of her soul into a desperate spell, she surprisingly inflicts agonizing, unhealing wounds upon the dark creature. A terrifying realization hits Yun. Her power wasn't mere frost, and her mana drops at a fatal pace. Monster realizes he finally found the prophesied child, destined to eradicate his kind, and prepares to slaughter her. However, a savior intercepts fate. Declaring the fated child's ultimate importance, Dae-han unleashes his Heart of Nature skill, coldly promising the demon that he will be turning to ash today. Enraged by the interruption, the fiend unleashes a devastating, pitch-black wave of abyssal energy straight toward the veteran. Unfazed, his enchanted bracelet instantly manifests a protective barrier, flawlessly deflecting the lethal strike. Wasting absolutely no time, the powerhouse retaliates with an overwhelming storm of mana projectiles, bombarding the creature from every conceivable blind spot. Forced to his knees, the monster trembles before the sheer magnitude of Dae-han's magical reserves, while the hero casually notes his vast battle experience. Snarling with absolute desperation, the cornered beast vows mutual destruction, lunging fiercely toward the weakened, fated girl. Yet Dae-han perfectly anticipates the suicidal charge, deploying a volatile energy sphere that blocks the monster's path and instantly vaporizes him into mere dust. A system interface confirms the B-class threat's execution. Causality rises by 0.4, unlocking the Savior achievement. 3,000 points are rewarded. Meanwhile, Dae-han observes Yun's premature awakening, deeply impressed by her sheer combat resilience. Since the Dark Forces foresee the arrival of their ultimate bane, relentless assaults on the Magic Academy are completely inevitable. Therefore, Yoon, Lee, and Yu must rapidly forge unbreakable strength. Dae-han expresses his heartfelt gratitude that his comrades survived the nightmare. Rumors wildly spread that a demonic siege upon the prestigious academy was miraculously thwarted by Yu, Lee, and two fellow heroic students. However, the crimson-eyed genius feels utterly disgusted, despising the unearned heroic praise when she practically contributed nothing to the flawless victory. Peeking over from her hospital bed, Yoon questions her friend's bitter muttering, only for the defensive girl to snap at her to immediately rest. The prophesied mage points out her desperate protection, yet Yu sharply retorts that she embarrassingly fainted immediately after. Dismissing her superficial wounds, Yu complains about the school's massive overreaction, while Yoon gently urges her to heal. Fiery Prodigy secretly discovered that the blonde warrior faced the monster alone while she remained entirely incapacitated. Unable to understand, Yu questions why she didn't selfishly flee, wondering why a mere acquaintance would ever gamble her life so recklessly. With an unwavering smile, Yoon softly insists that anyone else would have made the exact same choice. Furthermore, Having been saved from total despair by a stranger's warm hand in the past, she deeply aspires to embody that very same guiding light for others. Committing to that vow ignited her inner bravery to confront any nightmare. She reassures you that leaning on others during agonizing times is never a sign of weakness. Tragically, those words trigger Yu's agonizing memory of a blazing inferno, where desperate parental figures screamed for her to grab a younger sibling and run. That fateful night tore her family apart. Trembling with buried trauma, Yu fiercely rejects the concept of reliance, though Yoon gently replies that offering a simple thanks is enough. The blonde mage thoughtfully adds that without Daehan's miraculous intervention, they would both be lying in early graves. Puzzled, the fiery-eyed girl demands an explanation, but her friend playfully notes the hero can speak for himself. Wearing a confident grin, Daehan suddenly enters to check on their recovery. Instantly defensive, Yu questions his unexpected visit, prompting him to reveal a special delivery. He offers her 5 million won as a demon-slaying bounty, leaving her completely baffled since they both know his overwhelming power truly ended the threat. Yet the seasoned fighter humbly praises their prior efforts, claiming the monstrous beast was already on death's door upon his grand arrival. Insisting he merely stole the killing strike, he offers the cash, but Yu finds accepting unearned glory incredibly humiliating, ultimately demanding they split the massive fortune together. With a deep, flustered blush, she finally utters her sincere gratitude. Daehan realizes his strategy to bond with Yu through Yoon might be advancing slightly prematurely. Her interest parameter upgrades to level 1. 2,000 system points are beautifully acquired, while the blonde teases her tsundere friend's flushed embarrassment. Her heart swells with pride. Meanwhile, Kim finally hoards enough points to secure the dimensional backpack. Pacing down the corridor, Yu bristles with nervous energy, entirely convinced Kim is feeding her lies. That monster wasn't on its last legs when she fainted. Kim had utterly annihilated it single-handedly. She realizes his fighting style defies categorization. Neither a summoner nor support, he radiates the aura of an absolute genius. Even Yoon's mind-bending techniques trace back to this boy's hidden teachings. Why mask such terrifying strength from the world? For a teenager, burying that monstrous talent makes zero sense. Perhaps those dark forces tore his family apart as well. Shifting focus, Kim questions if Yoon leaked their secret. She shakes her head firmly, knowing unwanted spotlight would only turn their harsh training into a nightmare. Her burning desire is to master this demon-slaying force independently. Remarkably, compared to the original timeline, Yun's terrifying awakening has erupted an entire month ahead of schedule. Despite her raw combat senses, this rapid growth guarantees a massive advantage for the impending Demon King War. Thanks to this shift, our anomaly perfectly secures Lee's vital comrade. Promising to strategize together, Yoon drops a burning question. The exact second that barrier activated, he had sprinted straight into the bloody arena. Did he rush in just to save her? Kim had been her unwavering shield through exams and chaotic ambushes alike. Her piercing gaze leaves the boy sweating bullets. He frantically denies her suspicions, claiming his exam support stemmed purely from absolute faith in her dormant potential. As for the siege, he simply charged blindly toward the roaring explosion's epicenter. Her cheeks flush, crimson with sudden awkwardness. Catching her hesitation, Kim teases her assumptions. Flustered, Yoon stammers out an excuse, while he chuckles at her endearingly innocent train of thought. Yet a true protagonist must seize his rightful destiny. With resolve burning, he begins drafting his masterpiece. Attempting to smooth over her embarrassing blunder, the girl abruptly offers him 7.5 million won. Consider it tuition for exclusive combat tutoring since their fates are intertwined. Kim vows to forge her into a weapon, sighing at these rich kids' cluelessness, and declares their brutal training begins at dawn. Suddenly, a sharp chime rings out from our hero's smartphone. A staggering 15 million won hits his account. He stands bewildered by this sudden rain of wealth, only to realize Lee sent the fortune. With the grueling trials concluded, Kim perfectly executed every impossible condition demanded by Professor Lee Hee-yang. Landing at rank 72, he never dreamed of breaching the elite talents division. Reigning over the third years is Kim Sang-yeon. Trailing in fourth sits Park Minnie. Meanwhile, dominating the first-year rookies is Cho Yoon, fiercely shadowed by the runner-up, Jian Minnie. Yu glares daggers at him, radiating pure hostility. Yet, Kim remains unfazed, knowing this elite position grants him the perfect vantage point for impending disastrous events. Without warning, Park and Won aggressively block his path. They mockingly claim kill-stealing a demon doesn't earn him a seat here, but our hero met every single requirement. No one dictates his place. Regardless, the blonde punk threatens to forcefully toss him out. Before fists fly, Lee's booming voice shatters the tension. Enough! Park furiously barks, blaming Kim for single-handedly dragging their elite class average through the mud. His pathetic clear time was a sluggish 22 seconds. Yu fiercely intervenes, spitting back that ignoring the initial placement exams, Kim's raw abilities absolutely eclipse Park's. So Park needs to zip his mouth, because he's the actual dead weight bringing everyone down. Sneering about her unexpected crush on a weakling, the bully ignores her warning. With murderous intent, he lunges forward, launching a devastating right hook straight at our hero's jaw. Moving like lightning, Kim snatches the incoming fist midair. He coldly dares Park to try harder, while the bully suddenly trembles against Kim's bone-crushing, vice-like grip. Enraged, the blonde thug crosses the line by insulting Kim's mother, igniting scorching magical flames in his palm. Suddenly, a dark shadow plummets straight onto the aggressor's skull. A ruthless spinning kick violently caves into his ribs, launching him helplessly down the concrete stairwell. Onlookers gasp in pure horror, questioning if Park survived the brutal impact. Expressing his gratitude, Kim realizes the storyline is flowing flawlessly. The devastating strike belonged to Jang, who smirks, praising Kim's spectacular performance during the perilous trials. Imposing government agents suddenly storm the classroom for their specialized curriculum. Panic erupts as students frantically shake Park's unconscious body, leaving the scarred newcomer second-guessing his own leg strength. Earlier, he had protested this mundane school assignment, until Dio revealed a chilling truth. Demonic forces were lurking nearby. Several highly anomalous zones had been flagged for investigation. Jung notes their elite squads operate solo unless directly commanded by the monarch. Furthermore, dark entities bypassing the Academy's supreme magical defenses was deeply unsettling. A traitor definitely lurks within their ranks. His critical objective is to partner with the faculty to hunt down both the abyssal creatures and the treacherous mole. Taking center stage, he projects overwhelming authority, introducing himself as an elite operative dispatched directly from the prestigious Hunter Association. Choi nervously questions if they'll study counter-terrorism tactics. John smirks and confirms, bluntly reminding these sheltered fledglings they aren't remotely ready for genuine warfare. Starting today, under his strict command, they will scour the active monster manifestation zones. One wrong step means certain death. They are ordered to report any anomaly instantly. However, Joe internally scoffs, knowing this threat is entirely fabricated. In reality, it's merely a classified Black Ops training ground. Regardless, exploring this fully conquered dungeon allows them to quietly track the true suspects through hidden magical surveillance. Elite classes enjoy total freedom, making them the absolute perfect hunting ground for our hidden infiltrator. Aang definitely shares this exact calculation. A demonic presence lurks nearby, and his razor-sharp instincts miss absolutely nothing. My ultimate priority right now? Guaranteeing Lee claims that magnificent S-class relic hidden deep inside the dungeon's secret floor, while fully supporting Choi on this dangerous mission. At last, the combat squads are finalized and deployed to the treacherous operation zone. For once, Kim plans to strictly adhere to the original timeline's destined path. However, simply weaving his own existence into this fated narrative might spark unforeseen chaos among the squad. It takes a twisted turn, locking Choi and Kim together as partners. She secretly assumes the guy feels utterly cursed to be shackled to her side. Countless fools would kill for a moment beside her, yet he remains coldly unimpressed by her elite status. Actually, Kim is the one deeply annoyed by her piercing gaze. Shaking it off, he commands the group to advance. Another student bitterly whines about missing a relaxing romantic stroll with a beautiful girl. Meanwhile, destiny binds Lee Ko-jun and Yu-ara into the second squad. That absolute fool harbors a desperate crush on Choi, the sole heiress to a legendary magical bloodline, blessed with devastating beauty and terrifying power. When Lee casually mentions another prestigious noble is present, Yu instantly erupts in blazing fury. The sniveling coward quickly stammers that this girl is nothing like that crimson-eyed monster. The final pair consists of Shin Yong-jun and Jian Meni. Suffocated by an unbearable, icy silence, the duo cautiously navigates through the darkened, looming forest. Yet, witnessing their sheer misery actually makes her feel incredibly relieved. Kim treated the Academy's absolute worst failure with genuine respect, and suddenly skyrocketed into the elite division himself. His entire existence screams of dangerous, hidden secrets. Choi burns with intense curiosity, staring so fiercely that Kim expects her gaze to bore a hole straight through his skull. Feigning wild excitement, Kim points out a mysterious presence ahead, urging them to investigate. The heiress cannot fathom his dark scheme, but absolutely refuses to become a pawn in his little game. She firmly orders the duo to cooperate flawlessly, prompting the mysterious outsider to shoot Choi an incredibly bizarre, calculating stare. He instantly recognizes the undeniable glint of a hidden, self-serving agenda. Right now, the heiress is frantically desperate to recruit Lee, seeking to drastically inflate her own societal worth. Therefore, the tactician simply commands them forward, secretly orchestrating a romantic spark between her and the protagonist to ensure the fated timeline remains unbroken. However, Choi suddenly admits that Kim radiates an even more awe-inspiring aura with every single encounter. He forged explosive strength from absolute humiliation. Yet, brutally forcing his way into the elite division might actually seal his tragic doom. Gathering too much spotlight invites deadly adversaries. Noble blood, divine talent, breathtaking beauty. The world believes Choi possesses it all, completely blind to the darkness lurking beneath her perfect facade. Maddening, obsessive drive to satisfy her clan's suffocating expectations builds that golden, flawless illusion. She weaponizes angelic kindness to bind useful allies, relentlessly stepping on them to elevate her own majestic worth. This fabricated perfection is merely a tragic, solitary survival tactic she learned while navigating the ruthless aristocratic underworld. Baffled, Kim questions this talk of enemies, prompting Choi to recall that fateful, chaotic day. Though unspoken, Park is definitely not the only elite utterly disgusted by this commoner's sudden rise to power. Unfazed, he coldly declares his absolute indifference, driven solely by a life-altering destiny he must fulfill within these elite academy walls. Instantly, an icy memory strikes Choi, her tyrannical father demanding total obedience to the suffocating destiny he mapped out for her life. Like a hollow puppet, she merely nods in submission. She finally understands the instructor's fascination, yet remains deeply puzzled about what true reward awaits him in that perilous division. Suddenly, a spine-chilling wave of murderous intent washes over Kim. He shoves Choi away, instantaneously unleashing a ferocious surge of pure raw mana. A devastating crimson spear of flame streaks toward them, an absolute blindside. Our unyielding protagonist mockingly questions if the attacker has completely lost his mind. Park sneers, offering one final ultimatum. If he values his pathetic life, he must bow down and remain totally invisible at the academy. Kim coldly asks what happens upon refusal. Blinded by fury, the blonde promises utter annihilation, unleashing a spell laced with genuine lethal force. Concealed magical eyes broadcast every breathless moment. Miles away, Yu ignites his blazing aura, while the allied vanguard struggles in a terrifying, desperate situation. Becky Jin, a special forces sorceress, openly scoffs at the ridiculous rumor of a demonic entity hiding among them. Jang demands a status update. She dismissively waves it off as mere brats casually sparring with the training beasts. He sternly orders her to report any anomalies. Suddenly, Becky witnesses an explosive, unhinged deathmatch erupting between Park and Kim. Our protagonist marvels at the blonde's blinding, rapid-fire casting speed. Ranking 5th is no joke, yet dragging this fight out any longer could completely shatter his meticulously crafted master plan. Choi furiously gathers pure mana, screaming at the two maniacs to take their bloody duel back to the training grounds. She declares this a humiliating disgrace to the academy, bluntly demanding that Park finally conquer his pathetic, suffocating inferiority complex. Those piercing words act like gasoline on a fire. Convinced the world favors this wretched outcast, the enraged noble violently shatters the very earth beneath him. Observing the absolute devastation, Becky realizes one of her surveillance runes just shattered. Jang leaps up, fiercely reminding her of their ironclad vow to protect every student. She screams that blowing their grand operation over a petty teenage brawl is utter madness. Unmoved, he strictly orders her to maintain surveillance and report any escalating danger. These chaotic combatants are Park and Kim, notorious for causing previous academy disasters. Joining them is Choi, a powerful magical heiress. Meanwhile, she urgently summons a massive arcane barrier, frantically struggling to suppress the erupting disaster. The arrogant noble shrieks with pure venom. How dare a filthy clown like him gaze upon the heavens? Blazing flames erupt from his hands. The young heroine reaches her limit, while a hidden observer watches closely. A blinding mana barrier bursts forth. Our main character steps up, remembering the absolute atrocities this villain committed. Erasing a meaningless background character wouldn't shatter the timeline's flow. This arrogant fool has zero future relevance anyway. Channeling the heart of nature, devastating magical projectiles fill the air. Panic strikes the noble's face. The awakened hero coldly declares that personal grudges demand a one-on-one death match. How dare he drag innocent lives into this? Gripping the blonde's hair, our hero violently craters him into the earth. A total miracle that he breathed. Paralyzed by fear, he watches our hero manifest a deadly aura sphere. Groveling pitifully in the dirt, the shattered bully cries out his absolute surrender. The heroine finds this display totally reckless. Yet, she senses he never intended to deliver the final blow. Yanking his broken enemy up, he delivers a bone-chilling threat. Disappear completely, or face total annihilation. The coward frantically nods. He grovels desperately to bury his humiliating defeat. Flashing a deceptive grin, our trickster orders the trash to vanish immediately. Perfect execution of a flawless bluff. Just then, the hidden vanguard spots the terrified loser fleeing the battleground. The elite instructor unsheathes his radiant blade. This little incident just triggered a massive security protocol. Sprinting in blind terror, the bully expects a magical strike, only to find a furious veteran hunting him down. Returning to the shadows, our mastermind calculates that this minor chaos perfectly preserves the original timeline's grand design. Suddenly, an icy magical touch grazes his throat. He shivers violently, while the leading lady playfully mocks his boiling aura. Her eyes narrow sharply. a mere rank 72, just absolutely decimated the Academy's number 5. The entire power scale is completely broken. Playing the fool, our protagonist claims absolute luck saved his life. Deep down, he hopes to push her toward her fated destiny with the original hero. Whispering sincere gratitude, a new notification chimes. Affection rating has increased by 1 point. She confesses her early disgust toward his talentless past. But staring at him now, he radiates an entirely different, overwhelming presence. Intrigued, he wonders about his new image. She smirks, calling him entertaining, a harsh reminder of his cursed clown trait. Time to move out, despite his exhaustion. Pushing for real combat achievements, she steps forward, right as a massive shadow lunges from the dark. A horrifying, monstrous viper strikes. A blood-curdling shriek escapes her trembling lips. Reacting instantly, fatal energy gathers in his palm. But before he unleashes destruction, a brilliant flash of holy light obliterates the beast. A relieved smile crosses her face. Right on cue, the golden boy of destiny makes his grand entrance. The true protagonist sheathes his blade, checking on their safety. He arrogantly sighs about the pathetic lack of real threats. The warnings of a death zone were clearly absolute garbage. She flatters his unmatched genius. A strategic alliance with her noble house would elevate his absolute glory. The prodigy casually brushes off the offer. Our transmigrator smirks. The actors are finally set for the ultimate climax. It is time for Destiny's hidden path. Proximity to this abyss will permanently forge their romantic fate. Playing the naive scout, he extends a trembling finger toward the encroaching darkness. An eerie sapphire aura bleeds from the jagged rocks. The fated duo stares, completely mesmerized by the hypnotic glow. Feigning innocent curiosity, he pushes them toward the threshold. Crossing the boundary, the genius gasps. A mythical dungeon within a dungeon. The survival rate is brutal, but the divine loot is legendary. A triumphant thrill courses through his veins. The master plan perfectly mirrors his past life memories of the tower's secret labyrinth. A cosmic anomaly has shifted reality. This legendary trial was designed specifically for this fated couple to conquer. Securing that supreme S-class relic will skyrocket the Golden Boy's untouchable reputation. But more importantly, the young heroine will finally awaken her true potential alongside him. Their combined power is absolute. Our mastermind casually suggests they just dive straight into the abyss, but the Golden Boy completely rejects it. Demanding backup, he shatters the entire script. Panic floods our hero's mind. A desperate scramble for the communicator begins. Meanwhile, the heroine falls under a terrifying trance, hypnotized by the obsidian waters. An ancient whisper corrupts her soul. The moment her fingertips break the surface, a catastrophic chain reaction explodes. Dread fills Lee as Kim screams her name. A B-class ghost witch is seizing the girl's body. Both sprint forward, roaring to break the trance. The hag claims her new vessel. Kim realizes this sudden monster strike means the original timeline has horribly derailed once again. The fiend suddenly dissolves, dragging Choi into a dark portal. Lee roars in pure disbelief at the kidnapping. A witch stole her away. Our protagonist demands an immediate rescue, though Lee insists on calling elite reinforcements. Delay means certain death. The beast devours a victim's mana before consuming their entire physical body. It is entirely up to them to strike right now. Kim firmly grips Lee's shoulder, forcing him to accept their unavoidable, terrifying reality. Eyes burning with resolve, both warriors charge the portal. Meanwhile, Jang violently restrains Park, demanding his true motives. The clueless blonde stammers, prompting the veteran to question his suspicious, cowardly escape. Revealing his shameful truth is unthinkable for Park. Consequently, the ruthless agent promises brutal interrogation for his total silence. Park and Won, elite second-year academy, students ranked 5th, face demonic treason charges. Jang reports the successful capture, only for his superior to reveal a much graver incoming crisis. 3 trainees vanished inside the altered training dungeon. The agent casually dismisses it as a deactivated cavern. However, Beck's grim confirmation of an active hidden phase leaves John absolutely paralyzed with dread. Inside, a raging, apocalyptic blizzard howls. Lee deduces the witch is weaponizing Choi's stolen ice mana to freeze the realm. Shivering violently, he receives a heavy coat from Kim, who insists surviving the biting frost is crucial. Anticipating this freezing hell, our protagonist pulled thermal gear straight from his expensive dimensional inventory. Utterly bewildered, Lee questions how this kid afforded a multi-million-dollar spatial artifact. Stock market profits, Kim replies smoothly. This garment increases frost resistance by 20%. Suddenly, he spots Choi's silhouette. She begs for salvation in the snow. Suspicious, the protagonist urgently demands she point out the dungeon's escape route immediately. Without hesitation, Kim blasts her with a mana sphere. Blocking it with frost, she smirks, noting his boringly quick wits. The phantom fully puppets Choi's body. A sudden spike in murderous aura betrayed her trap. Rescuing the girl requires obliterating this parasitic demon. The bone-chilling tone, The fiend praises the girl's beautifully freezing, delicate magical core. After devouring her energy, they will become its next feast. Knowing undead abominations despise holy magic, Kim commands light-wielding Lee to lead the vanguard. Holding the rear guard, our hero bombards her with dense azure energy blasts. While that parasite pilots Choi, they face a rank 1 prodigy wielding elite manifestation and enhancement arts. They are forced into a desperate defense. A lethal strike nearly decapitates Kim, but Lee's steel intercepts it, instantly countering with a fierce lunging slash, shifting her frozen blade into a heavy buckler. The demon flawlessly parries his incredibly lethal blow. The hag mocks his hesitation against a child's body, cruelly laughing at his pitifully weak, restrained combat efforts. A devastating storm of frozen daggers blitzes Lee. Her terrifyingly seamless flow between shielding and striking stuns him. Furthermore, the blizzard environment endlessly amplifies her glacial magic. Several deadly shards veer toward Kim. He narrowly evades death, only to be instantly trapped within a jagged, inescapable frozen cage. The corrupted Choi declares checkmate. However, our resilient protagonist brilliantly shatters his icy tomb, gracefully weaving through the relentless barrage. Desperate, Lee screams for a tactical masterstroke, certain his partner has formulated a winning strategy. Kim reveals the ultimate win condition. Threatening the Phantom's hidden true vessel will force her to abandon Choi's form. Scanning the endless white wasteland, the vanguard frantically demands coordinates to this concealed demonic anchor. Lacking omniscient knowledge, our hero recalls the original lore. Lee canonically annihilated the hag by blindly devastating the entire battlefield. Downing a rare elixir, he leaves the heavy lifting to Lee. Empowered by 10 minutes of supercharged mana, he conjures countless glowing spheres. Only Lee holds the destiny to obliterate her. Meanwhile, Jong interrogates Park about fleeing out of bruised ego after a mere brawl. The suspect's pathetic agreement makes the agent deeply regret his premature arrest without proper investigation. He presses further, asking if anyone harbored a vendetta against him. Sobbing pitifully, the coward claims complete ignorance. Command orders the urgent rescue of those students, while Jong shoulders the heavy blame. This concealed death trap caught everyone entirely off guard. The commander demands extraction odds, but breaking the sealed gateway is their only immediate hope. Failing that breach, they can only pray those brilliant prodigies conquer the anomaly and survive the nightmare. Pacing the cavern's threshold, Professor Lee commands the panicking crowd to remain safely behind. A bystander whispers in absolute dread. Once trapped inside a hidden phase, survival becomes utterly impossible. He realizes his interrogation of Kim remains unfinished. If those boys perish in there, that brat will face hellish consequences. Deep inside the dungeon, Kim relentlessly manipulates his floating orbs. Lee watches in absolute awe, questioning how to overcome this nightmare. The outsider calmly reveals that inside this space, his mana is completely boundless. Wicked Phantom senses a sudden surge in their aura, maliciously questioning what foolish trick they are plotting now. A devastating barrage of frozen blades ambushes them from the shadows, but their explosive magic instantly shatters the deadly assault. Suddenly, Kim roars through the chaos, commanding his comrade to unleash his sealed potential. It is time to awaken his true might. Lee's eyes widen as a profound realization strikes him. His blade only tasted its maximum limits during the catastrophic demon invasion. He heavily suppressed his aura throughout the trials, terrified of severely injuring his peers. Astoundingly, he realizes Kim completely saw through his agonizing restraint. The main character commands them to shatter their limiters. The Phantom Witch cackles madly, daring the arrogant children to face her devastating wrath. Burning with fierce determination, Lee solemnly declares he must absolutely honor his comrade's unwavering trust. Suddenly, the Wicked Witch violently trembles before his blinding, radiant aura, while Kim fiercely commands the main character to completely obliterate this entire cursed realm. Abomination's true core is finally exposed. Without hesitation, our legendary hero unleashes a devastating magical blast toward the beast. The catastrophic impact instantly pierces her chest. The mysterious outsider confirms the wicked spirit abandoned Choi's vessel. Simultaneously, a blazing holy aura erupts around Lee, preparing for the final execution. The Phantom Witch shrieks in absolute fury, vowing to annihilate these pathetic mortals forever. Kim coldly declares her pathetic existence ends right now. The main character drops a heavenly strike, obliterating the grotesque nightmare into endless floating ashes. With absolute certainty, Lee feels the evil presence vanish. Outside, desperate guild mages frantically force the dimensional rift, cracking open merely 2%. The microscopic gap denied even a fly. Tragically, this pathetic sliver remained their absolute maximum limit. The continent's most supreme spellcasters are completely powerless to widen the gateway. Meanwhile, Jung heavily accepts his grim fate, ready to shoulder the crushing blame from his infuriated superiors. The scarred warrior grimly details the catastrophic events, yet to his utter disbelief, Guild entirely dismisses his dread, calmly asserting Lee's imminent return. He angrily questions their ridiculous confidence, only to witness a terrifying revelation a mere heartbeat later. A catastrophic pillar of divine radiance erupts toward the heavens. The terrified crowd fears a dungeon break, but he instantly identifies that legendary holy aura. Lee's overwhelming celestial energy threatens to completely shatter his fragile blade. The chaotic climax begins. The vanquished phantom dissolved, leaving behind a heavily coveted divine artifact. This magnificent glowing blade passively amplifies raw magic and continuously heals its master. Kim firmly insists Lee claim the ultimate prize for his unparalleled battlefield dominance. However, the honorable swordsman genuinely wishes to split the spoils with his mysterious ally. The shadowy outsider completely rejects the epic treasure. He coolly volunteers to stabilize Choi while the young warrior secures his weapon. Grasping the hilt, Lee shudders at its staggering S-class power. He finds Kim's casual surrender of this legendary masterpiece incredibly suspicious. The boy reaps 2,000 system points, yet his gaze remains locked on Choi's violently depleted core. Her fragile vessel simply cannot endure such apocalyptic warfare. This agonizing condition stems from her spiritual energy being ruthlessly devoured. Lee rapidly stashes the legendary loot into his dimensional pockets, questioning Kim's next strategic move. Kim softly vows to fully restore the battered girl's shattered core. He gently feeds her a mystical frost spirit core, an artifact that explosively regenerates magical reserves. As her frozen eyelids flutter open, the anxious hero tenderly checks her condition. Startled, the confused maiden violently flinches, questioning their overwhelmingly intense stares. Relieved, Lee smiles warmly as her vibrant life force rapidly returns. Kim chuckles at her fiercely overflowing vitality. Disoriented, Choi violently demands their true location, but the explanation is heavily complicated. The enigmatic ally reveals they breached a secret realm where Lee massacred the dungeon lord to rescue her. Utterly bewildered, Choi realizes no novice has ever achieved this impossible feat. Suddenly, the gateway bursts open. Relief washes over the squad, as Lee breathlessly murmurs that salvation's glow never looked more majestic. Just before crossing the threshold, Kim practically begs for physical support. His violently drained magic core leaves his trembling legs completely paralyzed. The exact second Choi regained consciousness, his exhausted body instantly collapsed. Astonishingly, he flawlessly calculated the miraculous elixir's exact time limit. Once the blinding dust settles, the ultimate glory will not belong to his shadowy presence. The continent will forever remember Lee Seo-jun and Cho Seo-yoon. Destiny dictates those two must become true legends. United in triumph, the trio departs, carrying exhausted Kim. Lee shatters records as the youngest conqueror of a mythical hidden phase, instantly commanding the entire globe's breathless worship. Furthermore, his newly appraised Blue Moon Blade possesses twin godly enchantments, utterly defying standard S-class limitations. Elite sorcery journals blast front-page headlines praising the main character's monstrous talent. Suddenly, his terrifying potential completely dominates international conversations. Following Park's interrogation, investigators confirm the golden-haired youth never served the demonic faction. However, his vile history of academy torment leaked, resulting in devastating disciplinary retribution. Moving forward, that pathetic nuisance is permanently erased from their path. Despite several chaotic deviations, the wheels of fate have securely locked back onto their predestined trajectory. The shocking reality behind the Academy's covert combat operations remains deeply buried in absolute darkness. Meanwhile, Cho strategically wields this classified secret to slowly close the distance with Lee. Additionally, pacifying the frantic Yoon proved utterly exhausting, as she genuinely believed her beloved mentor sustained fatal wounds. While the mysterious wanderer silently plotted his next grand move, Choi abruptly broke his focus. A mysterious rumor from Lee brought her here with deep gratitude, but our main character swiftly redirects the spotlight, praising her brilliant combat skills and life-saving instincts during the chaos. Waving his hands in pure panic, he desperately shifts the blame to his comrade. Choi stares in absolute bewilderment at this humble display. Suddenly, his gaze sharpens like a blade, declaring that Lee alone annihilated the phantom sorceress. Flashing a knowing smirk, Choi accepts this twisted truth and gracefully steps back into the shadows. System alert, her fascination upgrades to level 2, rewarding our hero with 2,000 points. The web of fate tangles further. He must calculate his next move flawlessly. Meanwhile, the scene shifts to a slender figure pushing her limits on the track. Sweating it out in the academy training grounds, our survivor connects the dots. Standing beside the genius during that secret boss raid triggered an absolute goldmine of system rewards. Without hesitation, he burns 50,000 points on the legendary evolution and adaptation trait. Piercing the darkness and shrugging off freezing temperatures is now child's play. It might seem like a minor upgrade, but this hidden gem secretly supercharges every fundamental combat stat. This power originally belonged to Jeon-mi, the Academy's second-year prodigy. But in this altered timeline, finding keepers means playing for keeps. Suddenly, familiar voices echo across the iron paradise, calling out his name. Question about his relentless grind, he casually brushes it off as basic physical maintenance. Genius chuckles at his veteran mindset, while Shin gestures at the exhausted crowd around them. Whispers fill the room about his brutal Monday heavy-lifting rituals. His monstrous strength was forged in sweat, and Shin proudly declares no ordinary student could ever match this intensity. A sudden memory violently surfaces, magic violently clashing as the brown-haired warrior calls her absolute madness. He vows to unleash a storm of pure destruction. A confident smirk crosses our hero's face. He knows her relentless spirit perfectly. Once she locks onto a target, retreat is simply not an option. The mood shifts abruptly. Lee points out the chilling absence of their battle-obsessed instructor, but Shin reveals the teacher is currently sweeping the academy perimeter. A dark secret hangs in the air. A lifeless corpse was just discovered lurking by the academy gates. Horror flashes in Lee's eyes. The underworld has breached their sanctuary. Yet Shin remains completely unfazed, blindly trusting the Golden Boy's divine protection. But our regressor knows the grim truth. Hellspawn could strike at any second, because a shape-shifting traitor already breathes among them. This is no brainwashed mortal. An actual fiend wears human skin. Top-ranking third-year senior Park Min-yi glides over, offering the sweating genius a fresh towel with an angelic smile. Warning bells scream in our protagonist's mind. Innocent little Shin blushes at her stunning beauty, totally eating out of the palm of her hand. As our wary survivor politely accepts the cloth, she whispers sweet words of encouragement, but beneath those smiling eyes, a terrifying darkness violently swirls. Flashback to the blood-soaked midnight. She was ruthlessly devouring the life force of a defenseless mortal soul, sinking her venomous fangs deep into quivering flesh. This is Jang Yi, a lethal B-class infernal entity and the sole surviving bloodline of a fallen demonic warlord. Wiping the crimson from her lips, she confronts an uninvited shadow. His sudden manifestation means only one thing. Another catastrophic assault on the academy is imminent. The arrogant Lord Qian He steps into the moonlight. He claims to be inspecting his hidden pawn, mocking her pathetic solitude since her father's brutal execution. This sinister overlord trusts no one. She hisses her desire for more bloody entertainment, but he coldly commands restraint. One wrong move and the human hunters will obliterate them. Questioning her progress within the fortress of learning, he is met with nothing but an apathetic, bloodthirsty yawn. Handcuffed by her fragile disguise, assassinating the instructor is impossible. Furthermore, High Command explicitly forbade her from sinking her claws into our main character, tortured daily by the sight of her father's murderers. She screams about this suffocating agony, but the Lord casually pivots the focus. The entire underworld is currently whispering one name: Lee Oh-jun. During that fateful bloodbath, that golden boy radiated the aura of the prophesied savior. The instant their dark sanctuary collapsed, his miraculous arrival shattered all coincidences. Her gathered intelligence sealed the terrifying truth. Lee Oh-jun is undoubtedly the divine child destined to ruin them. Thrilled by the revelation, she violently begs to rip his throat out personally. Yet the arrogant noble scoffs at her pathetic power level. He will never grasp the burning venom of unfulfilled vengeance. Starved of retribution, she swears on her clan's dark honor to utterly erase that boy from existence. Suddenly, a grizzled voice praises her murderous ambition. She violently flinches. A monstrous entity had been standing in her blind spot the entire time. The towering figure chuckles darkly, impressed by the rookie's overflowing bloodlust. Dropping to his knees, the Lord trembles before this legendary general's physical manifestation. The monstrous commander casually claims he simply wanted to inspect his newest pawn. Her demonic aura might be utterly pathetic, but her feral killing intent is flawless. With a sinister grin, he officially claims her as his deadly operative. Her grand destiny is set. She will march on the front line to slaughter the prophesied child, executing the supreme monarch's absolute decree. Refusal means instantaneous death at the right hand of the king. The scene violently shifts to the perilous fifth gate of the 𝑵𝑬𝑾 𝑺𝑻, where 𝑵𝑬𝑾 cradles swirling arcane energy. Her magical mastery has evolved to a breathtaking level. With a terrifying war cry, she hurls the concentrated destruction. The grotesque dungeon crawlers shriek in pure terror and scatter. Eyes sparkling, she demands praise from our veteran survivor. He nods with quiet approval, urging her to perfectly crystallize this new combat style. She gasps in sheer amazement. Stumbling upon a tailor-made training ground felt like a miracle. But our time traveler plays it cool. In his tragic previous life as a C-class sorcerer, this hidden sanctuary was merely an accidental discovery. This hidden sanctuary never existed in the original timeline. He alone holds its secret. Crawling with demonic beasts, this treacherous domain is the ultimate crucible to forge Yun's mental fortitude. Kim questions the anchor behind her awakened abilities. She confesses that during their intense clash, her desperate desire was to shield her comrades. Mastering such catastrophic energy demands unyielding resolve, fueled by unwavering conviction. Yoon's ultimate driving force is Kim. she yearns to mirror his overwhelming strength. He declares they will endure this grueling weekend regimen to guarantee her ascension into the elite echelon. Yet Yoon secretly treats these private weekend sessions as romantic dates. Before the trials, she ranked 82nd. Now she sits at 52. If this rapid evolution continues, she will inevitably fulfill her terrifying original destiny. Kim's gaze sharpens. The looming Jang Y crisis must be handled. In the forgotten timeline, her thirst for vengeance against Lee spawned countless vicious, villainous plots. But in this twisted reality, it was he and Jang who ultimately shattered her father's empire. Why target Lee first then? Sensing a deadly anomaly, our anomaly prepares a preemptive strike before her venom can spread. Jang remembers Kim as the survivor Lee saved from the secret abyss. Rumors claim this boy sought an audience. Fully aware of her suspicion, Kim steps forward, claiming he holds vital information to crush their current blockade. There's only one suicidal path forward. Offering a book, he launches a desperate romantic ambush, brazenly declaring his affection. He needed to force a completely isolated encounter. Jang glares with absolute revulsion, unlocking the tragic achievement of his first agonizing rejection. 1,500 points rewarded. A catastrophic, utterly humiliating defeat. The demonic temptress scoffs at his fragile mortality, storming away while swearing she'd never stoop to love a pathetic human. Kim sighs at the brutal reality check. Was his appearance truly that offensive? Watching from the shadows, Shin observes the crushing spectacle with genuine pity. Another 500 points secured. Everything was flowing perfectly according to Kim's master plan, even as Shin frantically denies eavesdropping. Swallowing his intense hatred for the spotlight, enduring that brutal rejection was a necessary sacrifice for the greater endgame. Blaming her demonic arrogance, Kim shifts gears, questioning Shin about the dreaded ancient magic theory coursework. Shin groans that while his fists fly freely, academic scrolls numb his brain. Sensing an opening, the anomaly offers his own flawless notes, but for a steep price. He casually asks if Shin frequents the Academy's underground gossip forums. Rumors ignite. The Academy's absolute loser is allegedly seeking desperate infamy, instantly hooking 247 intrigued students. Another 1,500 points collected. The viral post audaciously declares Park, the Academy's peerless goddess, is his undisputed, untouchable property. The faculty roar with laughter at the brazen stunt. Yet Yoon burns with jealous fury, furious that his taste leans toward mature women. Yu confidently dismisses the chaos, certain a malicious troll framed the quiet boy to orchestrate a public downfall. Shin sweats nervously, internally screaming that he followed the upload instructions perfectly, only for the orchestrated scandal to detonate completely out of control. Kim coldly analyzes the unpredictable fallout, satisfied that the explosive underlying message successfully penetrated the Academy's walls. Leveraging Shin's massive popularity to spread scandalous romance rumors was a guaranteed wildfire. A simple word of gratitude is offered. In the shadows, Jen seethes with destructive rage, as this chaotic deviation completely derails her calculated ambitions. Our protagonist shed the ultimate loser title, only to be forcefully branded as a pathetic, attention-starved clown by the masses. With his name chained to the demonic entity, her covert assassination attempts against Lee are paralyzed. After all, Kim's shattered reputation practically makes him invincible. Female student body's dramatic disgust reaches fever pitch. Haughty whispers claim that radiant beauty only attracts the most pathetic parasites. Boiling with murderous intent, Jang craves Lee's immediate death, but Kim's viral sabotage has effectively placed a blinding spotlight directly onto her. In a fraction of an opening, he would gladly orchestrate a lethal trap to eradicate her existence completely. Retreat is his only tactical option for now. A monumental shift in fate approaches Lee. The grand doors of the American Museum of Antiquities are sealing shut. A blonde sentinel issues a sharp command, initiating the crucial midnight patrol to scan for any lurking anomalies. Behold the Soul Vessel, a legendary divine artifact capable of imprisoning spirits. 13 years ago, humanity drowned in the terrifying shadow of John, history's most ruthless terrorist syndicate. However, the Indomitable Association president, Kim Jin-cho, single-handedly crushed their forces in a legendary bloodbath, executing their supreme leader, Jin Chun-woo. The Soul Vessel was triumphantly claimed and enshrined within these very museum walls. It rested in profound silence, devoid of danger. Yet murmurs awaken regarding this sacred treasure, the absolute crown jewel of the entire grand exhibition. Suddenly, a menacing female figure draped in midnight shadows breaches the quiet halls. A guard urgently points toward the exit, warning her of the restricted hours. Ignoring him completely, she glides forward, mesmerized by the artifact's overwhelming ancient aura. A masterpiece of such devastating beauty, far too magnificent to rot inside this pathetic earthly cage. The blonde guardian barks a harsh warning. This lethal artifact demands a worthy master. Yet, she coldly replies that only one legendary figure ever truly deserved it. He viciously fires back. The association knew ruthless villains would target this. Such divine energy must only protect the innocent. But the golden-haired woman scoffs. Supreme strength exists for a supreme destiny. They are merely locking away its true potential. Furious, he screams for security to banish this looming threat. But the heavy doors swing open, revealing a completely brutalized guard. She smirks, asking if her scarred companion lacks entertainment. The towering brute grunts. These pathetic weaklings offer zero thrill to his bloodlust. The worker freezes in sheer terror. Those were elite, A-class mages, and the defensive alarms remain entirely silent. A crimson scythe suddenly shatters the vault's reinforced barrier. Its wielder sighs, reminding them the mission was strictly intimidation and theft. Clearly, the strategy evolved. The terrified employee collapses to his knees, trembling as he questions these monsters' true identities. The giant snarls. The world stole their deity, but their fiery resolve remains unbreakable. Flashbacks of being branded vicious terrorists haunt the blonde. Retribution for blasphemy has arrived. Absolute dread washes over the man as their infamous name clicks. John. Then, total catastrophic annihilation. Across the city, shockwaves hit the academy. Headlines scream of a devastating strike by John, a dark syndicate everyone believed was utterly eradicated. Despite hopelessly corrupted surveillance files, authorities quickly pinpoint their prime suspect. Our mastermind orchestrating this chaos is Bert. Gripped by raw fear, Yu completely freezes. Yoon quickly notices her ghostly white complexion. Feigning intense sickness, she desperately escapes to rest. But Aram senses the shifting tides. The inaugural clash with the sinister John faction approaches. Meanwhile, Bert revels in absolute victory. She arrogantly admires her own captured image. Jin bitterly complains about hopelessly masking her identity. Their elaborate hacking operation was practically a massive waste of energy. She growls that a blind fool foolishly mocked their deity. Natasha coldly claims his pathetic life paid for that mortal sin. Meanwhile, the scarred beast growls, disappointed by the remarkably bloodless conclusion. In their glorious past, an entire city block would have been incinerated, but Jin sharply counters. The modern era demands caution, making such explosive exits insanely suicidal. Natasha harshly reminds him that elite tactical units and the Dawn Blade relentlessly pursue them. Yet the arrogant brute boasts he can crush them all. Breaking the tension, Bert suggests vanishing into the deep shadows for a temporary retreat. Echoing Jin's strategic warning, acknowledging their reckless haste, they decide plotting a course for Korea is their safest maneuver. The brute hungers for Korea's powerful challengers. Natasha yearns to dominate the mystical combat arenas. However, Jin strongly warns against crossing paths with the legendary Kim Jin-cho. Their commander radiates absolute confidence. No one predicts a strike deep within enemy territory. Besides, a hidden personal objective awaits her in that very region. The golden-haired man questions Lee's current status. Bert solemnly acknowledges the boy's massive importance to their dark crusade. Suddenly, the Crimson Warrior complains about the kid's endless, chaotic, reckless behavior. Why is Beck playing security? The brute claims mortal danger forges true strength, and their commander completely agrees with this. Forged documents and shadow identities are swiftly prepared. A warning message flies to Beck. Meanwhile, massive time has passed since our rogue last operated under the Kim Jin-woo alias. Emerging from the shadows is finally secure. Ryong's obsessive gaze has likely faded away completely. Crucially, confronting the John Syndicate requires an immediate power awakening. Sensing his restlessness, Sean predictably materializes way ahead of schedule. A simple courier could have handled this exchange. Yet, a longing for a personal reunion brought her directly to him. Behold, the legendary artifact he desperately requested. Divine elixirs and indestructible battle gear. These are magnificent S-rank treasures. They magically adapt to the wearer, instantly slashing vital energy drain by 20%. Two dangerous paths open before our hero. The financial toll for this godly equipment must absolutely dwarf any standard marketplace value. Over a lavish meal, Sean casually dismisses offering mundane trash. Her unshakable business philosophy: never disappoint a highly valued client. This is Kantia, the legendary establishment where the original narrative saw Lee literally collapse in ecstasy from a single magical bite. He skeptically questions its divine reputation. Slicing the golden pasta releases a heavenly cloud. A rich, earthy mushroom fragrance explodes outwards, mingling flawlessly with savory juices. Premium Han-Woo beef collides with a velvety crimson wine reduction. An absolutely breathtaking symphony of flavor erupts across his senses, a flawless crunch giving way to melting perfection. Watching his utterly mind-blown expression, Sean triumphantly declares her culinary mission fully accomplished. Our protagonist refuses such extravagant charity without offering a proper exchange. Yet she playfully insists their dynamic transcends simple debts. However, he firmly counters with an offer far exceeding mere gold. He noticed her deep, hidden anxiety earlier, likely stemming from those looming catastrophic threats. Pay $2 billion in 3 days or Hansung falls. Sean freezes, swearing that top-secret blackmail never leaked. How could he possibly uncover that? Smirking, he claims to possess unique intelligence networks. The kid is absolutely right. Following the syndicate's devastating broadcast, chaos erupted. She is desperately fighting off her siblings' ruthless corporate coup. Fortunately, this shadow blackmailer holds absolutely zero ties to that nightmare cult. The true culprit is Jo Sung-hun, a black market alchemist and greedy rat desperately attempting to bleed the reigning megacorporation dry. He sharply orders the heiress to audit her defensive squad's hidden financial records immediately. A treacherous mole colluding with that potion master will inevitably surface. This traitor is practically an insignificant background pawn, solely existing to trigger Destiny's next massive event, making his exposure totally harmless. She stands utterly amazed by his terrifying grasp of deeply hidden, classified intelligence. True backing remains completely shrouded in shadows. Addressing him directly as Kim Jin-woo, she admits she has no clue who pulls his strings, yet boldly offers an alliance. Securing a powerhouse like him would guarantee her absolute victory against her scheming brother. He promises millions in compensation alongside top-tier privileges. However, the outsider coldly brushes off the lavish perks, claiming his only desire is to lend her his strength. Yet Sean thrives on the thrill of the chase. Refusing an easy victory, she proposes a future dinner date, promising to return with an irresistible counteroffer. Golden opportunity undeniably tempts him, but taking her hand means utterly abandoning his secret pact with Lee. Thanks to his newly acquired boots, he can literally tread on air for 5 seconds every 2 minutes. 3 distinct choices stand before him. Thank heavens he plundered that legendary artifact from the hidden stage. Acting like an absolute madman, he leaps off a towering skyscraper purely for the thrill, landing flawlessly nearby. Extreme field testing never hurts. Later in magic class, the strict professor announces a mandatory paired research assignment scheduled for the upcoming week. Kim desperately begs for an extension, only to be ruthlessly denied. Kim resolves to abuse his outsider privileges, aiming to crush the project in a single day and finally relax. As he contemplates partners, Yu aggressively approaches, declaring they are officially a team. Pure panic washes over the classroom as the Academy's 2 greatest theoretical geniuses join forces. Their terrified whispers absolutely enrage her, and she glares the cowardly extras into submission. She challenges Kim for objections, leaving him bewildered as to why she suddenly craves his attention. Yu then coldly commands him to meet her at the secluded training grounds after school. The outsider secretly smirks. This aligns perfectly with his master plan, since he needed to investigate Yu anyway. But upon arrival, she aggressively slams him against the wall. Glaring into his eyes, she demands his deepest secrets, warning him not to play dumb because she knows his true identity. Our protagonist is entirely dumbfounded.